I think it's clause 7. Clause 7 of the collective agreement provides that the municipal manager or his or her authorized representative. That is where now the power or the delegations matrix comes from. The municipal manager then would then delegate various functions in terms of that collective agreement. The municipal manager in the city of Ekurhuleni specifically has delegated investigative functions to various units within the municipality. Like I was saying, that we'll have internal audit, we'll have internal affairs from EMPD, we'll have loss control, we'll have monitoring and evaluation. There's a lot of investigative units within the municipality. So the municipal manager specifically indicates that when there are issues, these issues will be investigated by these specific persons. Then the municipal manager would also, using clause 7, say if indeed there is to be a determination of a prima facie cause for discipline to be instituted, who would then be given the authority to make that determination that indeed there is a prima facie case that has been determined out of the investigation report. Then the municipal manager did that. Says HODs, heads of departments, in your department as people that are responsible for the maintenance of discipline, you shall then be having this authority. Then the municipal manager says, okay, fine. Having done that, who then must now constitute the disciplinary tribunal? And that becomes the divisional head employee relations. Then there's another area of the collective agreement that also talks to municipal manager or authorized representative. When we deal with abscondments, who shall then be in a position to deal with abscondments? It will be the municipal manager and a specific authorized representative. And in the city of Ekurhuleni, that specific authorized representative that will deal with the determination that an employee has deserted or absconded would be the divisional head employee relations. Then when it came to suspensions, and we've had a number of collective agreements, of course, in the sector since 2002. We had a collective agreement in 2010. That collective agreement said the people that have authority to suspend in any municipality in the country would be the municipal manager as a first point of call, or employees that are not lower than 2 levels below the municipal manager. In that instance, in Ekurhuleni, what we then did was to say employees that are not lower than 2 levels would be heads of departments. So all heads of departments have that authority to suspend. But then we changed that when we had a collective agreement in 2018, which removed the 2 levels below dispensation. And then in that new collective agreement, we then made a determination that the authorized representative in respect of suspensions shall be the head of department HR. So that's where the head of department HR then gets involved as a starting point in terms of the arrangements of the collective agreement. So the head of department HR would not have authority, even though she's my supervisor or the supervisor of the DH employee relations, but she would not have authority in respect of making a determination that is envisaged in clause 7 of the collective agreement. Because the person who's the authorized representative of the municipal manager effectively steps into the shoes of the municipal manager and then becomes the person that makes the determination as if it is made by the municipal manager. So in that particular respect, she did not have authority. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. If I can assist, Mr. Ngliza has in fact prepared a pack for the commissioners where he will set out in detail the contents of that collective agreement and will detail for the commission the powers and responsibilities he bears vis-a-vis Ms. Linda as the HOD HR. We will get to that stage when we get to the appropriate part of his evidence. But thank you, Mr. Ngliza, for that overview. You were then at paragraph 9 of your witness statement on page 5. There you set out the documents that regulate your role and those just relate to, the prescripts, the relevant labor law prescripts, municipal legislation, collective agreements, etc. Can you confirm that's the contents of paragraph 9?
Yes, I confirm.
Thank you. Mr. Ngliza, if
If I may ask, do you, good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
Do you have powers directly delegated to you by council?
There is in respect of discipline specifically.
Yes.
The municipality in 2010 developed and approved a disciplinary policy. That disciplinary policy outlines the powers in terms of discipline management, and in that disciplinary policy, of course, the powers of the divisional head employee relations are also articulated.
Thank you.
thank you.
You're hearing testimony from Qorani Qiza. He is the Divisional Head of Employee Relations Director in the city of Ekurhuleni. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. We'll be back there in a moment.
Ish, at school I was falling behind. They thought I wasn't trying, bruh. Truth is, I couldn't see well, and I felt as small as the words on the board. And then, teacher came to sit with me and realized I needed glasses. Bruh, now everything's changed.
Take time to listen. With enough love and support, children don't just catch up, they thrive.
Visit holdmyhand.org.za.
Together, we can change their future.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
Back to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
Your witness statement. We have a heading there.
You need more interpreters. We need to look at how do we use AI.
Yes.
Over the course of the past few days, the Commission has heard evidence on this blue lights issue from Chief Mapieye as well as Commissioner Spies. Can I invite you to describe to the Commission the controversy known as the blue light scandal? And please do so with reference to paragraph 11, 12, and 13.
Yeah, commissioners, this matter was brought to my attention by Deputy Chief of Police, River Spies, together with Chief Superintendent Henny Erasmus. At that time, Chief Mapieye was on compassionate leave or family responsibility leave. I recall because he had just lost his granddaughter. So when they brought the matter to me, they indicated that there was this media query from Jeff Wicks of News 24, and they had intentions, of course, of investigating the matter, and they wanted to alert me and sensitize me that there is this particular matter, and this, of course, was a norm. Like I indicated, that departments would come and have discussions with me, and I would advise them as well in terms of processes, but also to prepare my office for if there is any consequent actions that must be taken, that my office is already clued up. So they came, they indicated to me, they even showed me some footage that was on social media that was speaking to this, and they also had the correspondence from Jeff Wicks, indicated that they had had a discussion with the then Brigadier Mkhwanazi. I don't know whether I should call him Commissioner Mkhwanazi or Brigadier Mkhwanazi or what. Okay, they had a discussion with Julius Mkhwanazi, and then having had that discussion, he had provided them with a operational plan that they also had problems with. So from their preliminary or desktop analysis of what was happening, they sensed that there is a need to investigate possible allegations of misconduct. And of course, we agreed that such an investigation must be undertaken. And yeah, they proceeded to do their investigation. They also indicated, if I might add, that there is a view that we might have to be suspended precisely because of the nature of the allegations, as well as the fact that there might be interference if he is around during the investigations.
Thank you, Mr. Ngliza. According to paragraph 11 of your statement, the media inquiry from Jeff Wicks of News 24 came to the attention of EMPD on the 2nd of February 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, if you turn over, please, to paragraph 14 on page 8. There you indicate that in the week beginning the 6th of February, you were seized with the matter when Deputy Chief Spies, Colonel Erasmus, came to your office to discuss this matter. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In paragraph 14, when describing Colonel Erasmus, you have in brackets from EMPD, integrity and standards. Could you please tell the Commission what that is?
Integrity and standards, it's the equivalent of an internal affairs department. This is the unit within the MPD that would investigate misconduct allegations against Metro Police officers. It's specifically set up to investigate misconduct that is committed by Metro Police officers.
We have had, I think, in evidence, mention of internal affairs. Is it another name?
Yes.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
just that on the structure, on the human resources organogram, it was called integrity and standards.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Ngiza, in paragraph 16 of your witness statement, you say in the course of that meeting with Deputy Chief Spies and Colonel Erasmus, they advise you at that stage that they've conducted a preliminary investigation. Picking up from there, could you please detail for the Commission what they said that preliminary investigation had come to show or had come to reveal?
Yeah, thank you. Commissioners, the indication was that indeed the media query, was also had some allegations that were made regarding the registration of vehicles. It seems the journalist that was actually conducting who had submitted the media query had checked and verified that the vehicles that were having blue lights that were shown on social media were registered under the municipality. So indeed, when they came to me, they said they verified that indeed it seems these vehicles are registered under the municipality. But they have not actually gotten information in terms of how the actual registration had occurred. And therefore, they need to investigate how these vehicles that are seen in these social media videos transporting civilians, and they are seemingly registered under the municipality and are having blue lights. So they needed to then go into a deeper analysis of the situation, and by trying to get information about how this entire process had come about. I mean, it was an unusual situation.
In the course, please continue.
Yeah. So also they also indicated that because there is this memo that Jeff Weeks had also given them that they were not aware of, and therefore they had checked with Brigadier Mkwanazi, and he had provided them with an operational plan on about the 8th of February 2023, and that raised alarms. That plan that was provided by Brigadier Mkwanazi in respect of its authenticity, they checked and they said that they need to actually also verify whether this operational plan that he had provided them is the operational plan that was approved for the State of the City address in 2022.
Please proceed then to discuss the contents of paragraph 17 on page 9.
So in outlining all this preliminary information that they had, they took a view that indeed there is a basis for them to conduct an investigation. And, it's not like they were asking for my permission to conduct the investigation, but just to sensitize me that such an investigation needs to be conducted. And the fact that indeed there is mention of the Mama Cat, and Mama Cat is associated with a certain individual by the name of Fusmuz Matlala. All those issues were then raised with me to say, you know what, we need to get to the bottom of this. And I agreed, I agreed that they should conduct the investigation and also get a sense from Brigadier Mkwanazi of what is going on. So indeed, they proceeded, and they were to conduct that investigation.
Mr. Lisa, you say that they did not, it's not as if they needed your permission to conduct the investigation.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in the evidence of Chief Mapie, where there's a form where he requests a tribunal, a disciplinary tribunal, and one of the options there is investigation. So in this particular form, so the requester would tick whatever it is that they are asking for, and one of them is an investigation. Now, further on, in the evidence, we also hear that Advocate Bihari was now tasked to look at you'll still get to that evidence, but at some that's what Chief Mapie testified to. At some point, the whole matter of the disciplinary action or proposed disciplinary action was then ordered to be given over to Advocate Bihari to look at, and then I think he concludes that if I'm not wrong, he concludes that there is no case for a disciplinary hearing.
Ongoing issues or continuing testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, former head of employee relations at the Ekurhuleni municipality, Xolani Nxisa, is giving his testimony. We'll get a little bit more on that later on in the program. First, traffic and sport coming up. First news headlines with Ondela at 3:30.
Thank you, John. On the news headlines, retired Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Rivo Spies has accused now suspended acting EMPD Police Chief Brigadier Julius Mkwanazi of creating a rogue policing unit staffed by unqualified individuals posing as officers. Police in Gauteng are looking for two armed suspects who robbed a shop at Cresta Mall today. The suspects, posing as courier workers, threatened staff and stole items including laptops and cell phones. And an Israeli bill proposing the death penalty for those deemed to be terrorists has passed its first reading in Parliament. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very good afternoon. Let's kick it off in Pretoria. We have a breakdown on the M1 North at Rigel Avenue. Queue already forming back towards the R21. In fact, back past that, back towards Buerta Avenue. N3 going south is heavy down to London Road as you pick up the roadworks. Also, the N3 North into Kaluli is looking quite slow. Delays from as far back as Heldenace interchange. And a crash on the Bryanston Drive. If you're coming away from Santon, Bryanston Drive, just after Devonshire Avenue, there is a bit of traffic backlogging around that particular scene. Durban today, let's just focus in on that bit between Spaghetti Junction and the M41 Gateway. If you're making your way north, it's clear. Southbound, it's not looking too bad either. Cliffdale is a bit slow. There's a problem there. A truck has lost its load after the Cliffdale exit. That section of roadway is closed. There is a backlog going from Shongweni up in towards Key Ridge because of that. It looks like you're probably being taken off at Shongweni and shipped onto the old road. So just factor in some delays between Durban and Pietermaritzburg this afternoon. We'll keep an eye on that one for you. Cape Town, N1 out of town, fairly slow out as far as Plattercliff Hill. The M5 is slow from Maitland down to Kenilworth, and looks like a bit of beach action this afternoon if you're coming out of Cape Town. Kloof next through Tambers Cliff towards Camps Bay, looking slow in Baitendracht. Very heavy going the other way from Boercup down to the elevated freeway, leaving the city all jammed up. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sports with Domin Kapele.
I got a surprise for you later on.
You do?
I do.
Oh, okay.
But like you're going to tell me the tennis thing. I'm worried about what happened in that tennis.
No, I definitely will let you know.
Okay.
Good afternoon, John.
How's it?
I'm good. A very good afternoon to our listeners too. Well, we're going to start things off with football this hour where Bafana head coach Hugo Bruce says that a win against Zambia in an international friendly on Saturday is crucial for the team to maintain their top 10 ranking in the African rankings for the next FIFA World Cup draw on the 5th of next month in the US. The world rankings will definitely be key in determining the placement of the 48 teams according to their pots.
Preparation for the game of Saturday, friendly game, but for me, friendly games don't exist. Every game we have to be focused and concentrated and trying to win that game, and it will not be different for this game. I want to win on Saturday, and that's all So the reason why my first idea was to let players of Sundowns and Pirates in their club because they have a very overloaded program. But at the end, I changed my mind because again, I want to win. And why I want to win? First of all, it's important for our ranking.
Well, the Premier Soccer League has made less profit this year, but still managed to bring in more money overall. According to the league's financial report, profits have dropped from 33.9 million rand in the 2023-24 season to 2.25 million rand. However, on the bright side of things, total revenue went up by 9% from 1.09 billion rand to 1.19 billion rand, mainly because of stronger broadcast and commercial deals. In rugby, Springbok women's sevens forward Lee Fontaine says that making her debut for South Africa at the Rugby Africa Women's Sevens Cup in Ghana last year was one of her proudest moments of her young career. The 21-year-old was speaking as the defending champions assembled at the University of Pretoria's High Performance Center to prepare for this year's edition of the Continental Tournament, which takes place in Nairobi, Kenya on the 15th and the 16th of November.
With my debut last year in Ghana, it was a very special moment for me because obviously a youngster coming into the team from juniors into the seven national team was like a massive goal and a dream for many youngsters, and having to actually play on your first national tournament and Africa Cup, it was a very special moment for me because everybody's dream and goal is to wear the green and gold jersey, and actually having to have an unexpected debut try, it was mind blowing.
On a sad tip, in tennis, 2 spectators died from cardiac arrests during the second day of the ATP finals in Turin today. The individuals were aged 70 and 78, and the incidents occurred at different times yesterday. The first singles match between Lorenzo Musetti and Taylor Fritz was delayed, with an announcement being made regarding a medical situation in the arena. So, cardiac arrest. Quite interesting that
Sure.
2 happened.
Yeah. What are the chances?
Yeah.
It's a shame, man.
Crazy. Anything's off with motorsport. Lewis Hamilton says that he won't give up, while teammate Charles Leclerc has called for unity within the team as they head to the final stretch of the season. The drivers shared their message for Ferrari chairman, and this is after Ferrari chairman John Alcon urged the team to focus on driving and less talking after the Brazilian Grand Prix. They are now in danger of recording their first winless year since 2021.
Wow.
With only the Grand Prix in Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi to go. I think for me, I hear you laughing.
Yes.
I always like it when drivers are honest because I want to understand what's going in their mind after their loss or whatever. So I guess the chairman is just like, guys, just shush.
You're paid to drive.
Yeah.
Drive. Okay, now I got something for you.
Okay.
All right. So remember yesterday you were telling me that Lionel Messi is. So we had this agreement to disagree that Lionel Messi won't make a top team, right? So I thought, well, let me find. You know, there's the Max Verstappen song. Do Max Verstappen, right? It was a legendary song. So I looked for a Lionel Messi song. I couldn't find a Lionel Messi song, which I find strange. And if it would be, it'd probably be in Spanish. But
of course,
I thought let me play possibly the worst song ever about football players in a celebration of Lionel Messi and Ronaldo, and well, just play it there for me.
Messi or Ronaldo, give me Neymar or Mbappe, Lewandowski, Luka Modric, Raheem Sterling, Dusan Vlahovic, Ballon d'Or, Benzema, Kevin De Bruyne, Morata, Darius Bale and Sadio Mane will be cured by a magic spell. The wee big shirt and Shaqiri, Alfonso Davies, Chucky Lozano, Müller, Minamino Son, Taremi De Jong, l'Italiano.
John.
Yes.
You know, at times I tend to ask myself, what do you do when you are just chilling at
That's
home?
all I do. All I do is look for things that never. It's a thing. We're gonna play it again. We're gonna play it again.
Interesting.
And what are the chances to raise your flag? What was that? France '92, right?
When I get over, I will be stronger.
Yeah, you see. We'll play it again. Not now. We'll play it again later on. There's every
Sure.
footballer you've ever. That's
Literally.
now a first team of football right there. things I do for you.
Actually, we did get a tweet with regards to
yeah.
what
Were
you're
they
saying
wrong?
about Messi, and they were basically advising me not to listen to you because Messi is the best.
You could spend 10 minutes on social media or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. SMS out to 30754. Like 55-year-old Andre, who now pays a mind-blowing 776 Rand a month for his 2024 Toyota Urban Cruiser. With Outsurance, you get to enjoy benefits like panic assistance that sends the nearest medical or armed response unit to you wherever you may be, 24/7, with just a tap on the app. SMS out to 30754. After switching, 55-year-old Stefan now pays only 611 Rand a month for his 2024 Suzuki Jimny. Outsurance is so confident that they can beat what you're currently paying. So why not put them to the test? If Outsurance can't beat what you're paying, ask them for 500 Rand. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you have nothing to lose. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. Limits apply.
48 nations, one dream.
The FIFA Under-17 World Cup hits Qatar and Mzansi's Amajimbos are in the fight.
It's game on everywhere. From 3 to 27 November, catch the action live on SABC Plus, SABC Radio, and SABC TV.
Download SABC Plus now. Stream, listen, watch.
SABC Sport, for the love of the game.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
I got it wrong. I thought it was. I double checked myself. It was the Raise Your Flag was for the 2010 FIFA World Cup. I thought it was for the French one before that, but it wasn't. 2010 FIFA World Cup. Nines Wave Your Flag released. The song is adapted for France with artist Fefe. A possibility the song Raise Your Flag. No. It was the 2010 World Cup flag. There we go. I double checked myself in my head and I made a mistake. You with SAFM. It's times 20 to 4 if you're watching the time. We're bringing you Madlanga Commission of Inquiry sound today. Former head of employee relations at Ekurhuleni Municipality, Kwani Ntlisa, is on the stand at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Advocate Mahlape Selo continues to lead the evidence.
Why that happened? Something happened in 2017 and she issued that directive that no investigations against divisional heads shall be conducted without her approval.
Still on, please proceed, Mr.
So we then sought to have this conversation with, or rather this briefing with Dr. Mashazi.
Sorry, before you get to discuss this briefing, you say that the explanation or the reason that Chief Mapie suggested that you should speak to the city manager, he said because of the proximity of Mr. Mkwanazi and the city manager. And unless I misheard you, I think you said there was a general view of that there was a proximity. Did I hear you properly?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the understanding of that proximity, at least by you? What it was founded on? Was it just close working colleagues? Are they family? What in fact was the understanding of that proximity, and what informed the view that there is proximity, close proximity between them?
I do not have information about the relations, Commissioner. The only thing that I was made aware of is the fact that Dr. Mashazi had some form of liking. I don't know, because it's not working proximity in terms of the structural arrangements of the municipality. You know, the city manager is there. You know, between the city manager and Mkwanazi, there is the chief of police, deputy chief of police, then Mkwanazi, you know. So you would not have a direct link, functional link between Mashazi and Mkwanazi. However, there was this informal, I'll call it an informal link, you know, that people knew. And some of these things would know in the workplace when there are programs, when there are things that are happening, and then the boss would have this liking to this particular individual. the boss would mention this individual, the boss would be, showing some form of affinity towards this individual. So that is the type of proximity
So
that we're talking
it
about.
wasn't a proximity that arose from the working relationship, like they work closely with each other. He reports to her. It wasn't that kind of proximity you're referring to.
Functionally,
yes,
it shouldn't be. It couldn't have been.
Okay.
Like I say, I mean, he was a director, a brigadier in the Metro Police Department. Brigadiers are directors. They're called directors, and the line of accountability is such that even if indeed there would be functions, there would be things that happen. She knew people. She's the city manager and she had been in the institution for more than 20 years. So she knew people, she knew other colleagues. I'd known her since 1999, so, but it was never, could not have been a functional relationship. Could never be a functional relationship.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So,
Mr. Ngliza, if I may just intervene slightly, in addition to the issue of proximity between Dr. Mashazi and Brigadier Mkwanazi, you set out in paragraph 24 other potential motivations for providing that briefing. Could you elaborate on those, please?
Yeah. Remember, we were seized with how do I put it? I mean, this was an unusual situation, and I had been involved in a number of discipline matters in the municipality. I had never come across such a matter, but also there was a sensitivity about it because it was in the news, and as it was in the news, it involved a character that was in the news for other reasons. It involved a Mr. Vusmuz Matlala, who was in the news for other reasons that now, and the linkage that the journalist was making to say that we've got a situation where municipal, and I would say municipal in quotes, municipal vehicles are being used by this character. So there was a sensitivity about this matter, and indeed I had agreed that let us brief Dr. Mashazi, given the fact that it can have a spillover effect, in the sense it can blow over. You can have more coverage on it, and then all of a sudden the boss calls you in and asks you, "But why didn't you tell me that you are seized with such a matter?" So we had those considerations as well.
So you were concerned about the reputation of the
reputation, yes. Yes, sir.
And how then would you describe that meeting?
Maybe before that, it's important to, Mr. Ngliza, before you describe the meeting, maybe it's also important to speak to the concerns about personal safety that you reference in that paragraph 24. If you would just explain a bit.
Yes. Like I indicated, that we were aware, we were acutely aware of issues that surround Mr. Matlala. Now, if indeed we're going to take action in a matter that his name is involved, we discuss these issues to say, hey, Chief, we must be careful here. As much as we must do our work, but we must also be careful here. We've got families, we've got all sorts of things. You don't want to also find ourselves exposed to potential danger. So those issues, and if indeed we inform our boss, maybe indeed there might be an arrangement that can be reached to ensure that as we deal with this issue, we get some form of protection or something. So those issues indeed become part of our engagements, and they were essential. We will hear as we went on with trying to deal with this matter, the issue of safety became a critical issue at some point.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Ngliza, you were taking us through the developments at that meeting. You were at paragraph 25.
Yes. So we then wanted to go to see Dr. Mashazi at her office. My office is in Benoni. Chief Mapia's office is in Bedford View. Dr. Mashazi's office is in Germiston. I think Ekurhuleni is one of the few municipalities that is very polycentric. You've got all sorts of towns. So we then wanted to have a situation where we go to see her. Chief Mapia made the arrangements, called her office, and then we were told that no, she's actually on her way to Benoni. So he drove from Bedford View, and at Dr. Mashazi's request, we met with her at a Dada's Motor World in Benoni.
Is that a property of the municipality?
No, it's not a property of the municipality. It's a dealership. It's a dealership of luxury exclusive vehicles. So we went there, and of course we were, awestruck, by what we found. It was a very lavish setup that we got there. So we met with Dr. Mashazi at the CEO's office, and we briefed them about the Jeff Weeks media query, the analysis that have been conducted on the issue of the registration of the vehicles, and the need for us to conduct a more fuller investigation to ascertain exactly what has happened here. She was very receptive of our briefing. She was very receptive and very supportive. She was like, you know what, deal with it, and please ensure that all your processes are aligned, ensure that indeed you get to the bottom of this. And she also advised that we must brief the HODHR, especially since we want to also do a suspension process. And we agreed that the process would have to involve the HODHR for the suspension purposes.
Please proceed then to discuss paragraph 26.
Yeah, so we then met with HODHR, Ms. Klasheka. We gave her the same briefing that we had given Dr. Mashazi. She didn't oppose the investigation nor the suspension. However, she did express some discomfort given the fact that there is a linkage to Mr. Matlala. Expressed the view that given the media coverage that Mr. Matlala's name had, that he was a dangerous man. She took that view. And indeed, we then agreed that we'll do the process of suspension. The department was to submit its request for suspension, which they did. And we then processed the suspension. I don't know whether I should go into paragraph 27.
Perhaps
as part of the process.
Perhaps before you go to the process, Mr. Ngliza, in the second sentence of paragraph 26, you say Mrs. Klasheka didn't oppose the investigation and the intended suspension. And then, of course, you record her safety concerns. In your exchange earlier with Commissioner Baloy, you indicated that the power to institute an internal investigation lies within the realm of an employer. So was that correct? Is that correct?
Line management.
Correct. So essentially, a manager within a department has the ability to institute an internal investigation and then approach you if they want to take the step further. Is that correct?
Is the head of department, would have that particular authority.
But is that necessarily the case when it comes to the process of suspending an employee?
No.
No, indeed. And so please then just describe to the commission why then it was important for you to brief the HOD-HR and why her approval in respect of the intended suspension was necessary. Yeah.
Like I indicated, commissioners, the collective agreement has got various clauses, and how we have structured it in the municipality, we've not centralized, to say that the municipal manager's authorized representative is this one person. That person is therefore responsible for the implementation of the various clauses. We've broken it down. So it was essential that you get the buy-in of the HOD-HR on the suspension, on the suspension. But we briefed them both regarding, and remember the suspension is linked to the investigation. In terms of the collective agreement, you suspend as a precautionary suspension for the purpose of investigating. So when now you brief the HOD-HR, we have to talk about the investigation. You can't just simply say, I want to suspend this employee and I would like to get your buy-in in this suspension. We have to talk to her about what is it that must be investigated. So she honestly did not have a problem. The only problem that she expressed was the issue of safety. But on the content of our briefing, she did not have a problem.
You were then going to discuss the process with respect to paragraph 27?
Yes. On the 20th, and I think I have got some WhatsApps that also talk to that. On the 20th, commissioners, I had engagements with Ms. Kashega regarding the issue of the suspension, because the department had submitted a formal request to suspend Brigadier Mkwanas. We had that discussion. She still expressed that perhaps which I beg as toss and then I'll translate it. Yabo. Polani, andifuni le nto mna ndiyoyika ndinomntana omncinci. Yilungiseni le nto uba sibe ne-protection kuba ndinomntana omncinci andifuni le nto. Meaning, Polani, I don't want this because I've got a small child. Kindly ensure that you fix this thing because I have a small child. I do not want anything. That was the discussion. She had also indicated this, of course, in our discussion with the chief. And then we even exchanged WhatsApps where she makes it a point that indeed, there must be consideration. She puts it, I don't know whether I should go to the WhatsApp.
Mr. Ngliza, the WhatsApps are annexure PN2. They start on page 8 of the annexure bundle. Let me know when you're there.
Yes, I'm there.
Page 8.
Yes, I'm there.
So can you confirm that this is a screenshot of WhatsApp communication between you and Ms. Kashega?
Yes, commissioners, this is indeed screenshots of the communications that I had with Ms. Kashega on the 20th of February 2023.
Great. And so, Mr. Ngliza, the communication on the right hand of the page in green would be communication coming from
me.
Thank you. And the communication in white on the left hand of the document would be communication from Ms. Kashega.
Yes, this is from Ms. Kashega.
Thank you. So you start the communication on the 20th of February at 8:53 by sending a video. Is that right?
Yes, I started the conversation with her. Remember, we had briefed her, but we did not provide her with the clip itself. So I provided her with the clip that was showing the blue lights and the likes. That was from News 24. And then I indicated that we need to talk about this. Should I read everything?
Let me assist you. So at 8:54, you then say, "Hi, ma'am, I need to talk to you about this," referencing the blue lights video. Is that correct?
Yes.
She then responds, "What's your take when on this one? Listened to the clip." Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the emojis that she also sent.
Let's note for the record the three shocked emojis. Mr. Nliza, you then say something to her there at 1 minute past 11 and 2 minutes past 11. Please read that.
I indicated that we need bodyguards.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first message. My second message was, "I'm sorry, but we're going into war here."
Thank you. Can I ask you to turn over to the next page? And when you say at 2 minutes past 11, "I'm sorry, but we are going into war here," please explain what you meant by that.
I meant it's a dangerous situation.
She then responds to you at 2 minutes past 11 saying, "LOL, the Tembisa case ended up in a murder." Is that right?
Yes.
All right, things are getting interesting at the Madlanga Commission. We'll be back there after the news at 4 o'clock. We're also keeping an eye on the ad hoc committee. Shamila Batoy, the NPA head, is busy appearing before the ad hoc committee. You were hearing that earlier. We will go there. We might go there after 4 o'clock. We're just keeping an eye on both of these, and we'll see which way we're going to go. We're also going to talk about the climate conference that's happening in Brazil. With America not there, China and India also sending secondary delegates. So it's those are the three big polluters on the planet, and they're not sending full representation to the climate debate and what is happening in Brazil. So we'll get an update on that. And then I also want to touch on the 17 men that were in Ukraine and Russia. They were there at the Russia war. Very interesting news that is coming out this morning, early on this morning, about those 17 men that are looking for help from the South African government to get repatriated back to South Africa. So details on that and plenty more coming up. As always, phone lines open, 086 000 2032. You can send us some WhatsApp voice notes. My little song in the sport has got some reaction, and we'll play those then. It's 1 minute past 4 o'clock.
Thank you, John. On the top stories, Madlanga Commission hears testimony on an EMPD rogue unit and police investigate a robbery at Pastor Mall. For SFM News, I am Onde Lambana, and a very good afternoon. Retired Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Rifo Spies has accused now suspended acting EMPD Police Chief Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi of creating a rogue policing unit staffed by unqualified individuals posing as officers. Spies told the Madlanga Commission in Pretoria that Mkhwanazi recruited volunteers with the promise of permanent employment, allowing them to carry out official duties without training or authorization. He says the group operated with political protection and was linked to serious crimes, including murder, extortion, and copper theft. Spies told the commission that repeated warnings about the illegal structure were ignored by senior city officials.
They showed us their newspaper clippings where they are on the pictures together with our officers. They are actually part of arresting people. They use words like intelligence gathering, which is illegal. We don't have the power to do intelligence gathering. They even showed us, never mind these photos of the OBs and everything, they even showed operational plans where they are included into operational plans of working with us and that. And their claim, what they then state with all of this evidence, is that some of them have been employed as wardens, but this group have not been employed, and they're upset because they haven't been employed.
The city of Ekurhuleni on Gauteng's East Rand earlier said Mkhwanazi had been placed on suspension effective from today after recommendations of an internal audit investigation into allegations of misconduct. The city says formal disciplinary proceedings will now follow. And in Cape Town, Parliament's ad hoc committee has decided to have a closed session to allow for the discussion of the name of a suspended prosecutor who is alleged to be working with criminal syndicates. During the meeting, the head of the National Prosecuting Authority, Advocate Shamila Batohi, refused to disclose the name. Batohi is appearing before the committee that looks into allegations of criminal infiltration, corruption and political interference in the justice system. MPs like Ashley Salt from the PA through the chairperson Mulapile Khanyane called for a closed meeting.
Give us that name today during a closed session. That is the best we can do.
The motion is agreed to at the end of today's session, or at the end of today's proceedings. We shall have that closed session.
Police in Gauteng are looking for two armed suspects who robbed a shop at Cresta Mall today. The suspects, posing as courier workers, threatened staff and stole items including laptops and cell phones. An Israeli bill proposing the death penalty for those deemed to be terrorists has passed its first reading in Parliament. It was tabled by the far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who threatened to withdraw his party from government if it wasn't voted on. The BBC says the punishment is likely to be used only against Palestinians convicted of deadly attacks on Israel's. Recapping the top story, retired Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Rivo Spies has accused now suspended acting EMPD Police Chief Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi of creating a rogue policing unit staffed by unqualified individuals posing as officers. I'm Ondelambana for SFM News Alliance at 4:30.
In sports this hour, Azuri wary of unpredictable box, and Ronaldo says World Cup 2026 will be his last before retirement. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. If you're coming out of Durban on your way to Pietermaritzburg, it's going to be a tough afternoon. There's a load recovery operation up by Cliffdale. The road is being closed. It looks like all traffic on the N3 being diverted off at Shongweni, set up the Cassia Road into the mess that is Apollo Pony up around that M13. So that's very heavy. And it looks like trucks are being sort of allowed through and just stacked Key Ridge area. So major backlog to get through from Durban onto Pietermaritzburg. We will keep you up to date with that. Just staying in Durban area, a truck has just overturned on the N2 between the Higginson Highway and the M7 heading up towards the sort of cement factory area. So if you're on your way into Durban using the N2 North, there is some queuing pressure there already. Joburg side, the N3 South is heavy today from Buccleuch down into the roadworks at the London Road exit. The N3 North remains fairly busy as well as you line up into Galuli's interchange. That is a crash around Van Buren. So backlogs there getting back to the Germiston cement factory as well. And Cape Town just busy out of the city centre. Nelson Mandela Boulevard slow out to Hospital Bend. The queues extend right through to about Bunga Avenue, and the N1 into town very slow today from Sable Road to Kubo Interchange, and a crash on the busy Marine Drive at Boundary Road causing delays outbound through Pardon Island. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Ish, at school I was falling behind. They thought I wasn't trying, bruh. Truth is, I couldn't see well, and I felt as small as the words on the board. And then, teacher came to sit with me and realized I needed glasses. Bruh, now everything's changed.
Take time to listen. With enough love and support, children don't just catch up, they thrive.
Visit holdmyhand.org.za.
Together, we can change their future.
This November, SAFM proudly presents the 3rd annual lecture.
And as the Freedom Charter says, no legitimate government could claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. And I think sometimes people forget that.
SAFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser Muleketi. The theme of the lecture is confronting inequality, corruption and unemployment, rebuilding South Africa's social contract for inclusive and sustainable growth. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
You are listening to John Gericka on SAFM.
It's 4:08. John Gericke in for Ashraf this week. He's back again next week. Welcome to the show if you're just joining us. We heard from the Madlanga Commission in the first hour. That's finished for the day. 4 o'clock is stop time. So what we're going to do is go to Parliament, where the National Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Shamila Batoy, is appearing before Parliament's ad hoc committee, probing allegations of corruption into the criminal justice system. Let's join the live proceedings in Parliament.
It was broadcast.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to.
Oh, you're not done.
I'm not yet done.
Oh,
My
okay.
apologies.
Yeah.
You are breathing heavily.
Need a
on the
minute and
neck
I'm sure I'll be fine.
of the witness.
It normally works with the lozenge. So
Okay. No,
Okay.
We can take a break, Chair.
I think I'm fine, Chair. I can
Relax,
continue now.
relax.
Thank you. In that matter, as I explained, well, in all matters, particularly, well, let's deal with IDAC matters because it relates to an IDAC matter. I get very, very high level reports and verbally, because of leakage of information, the ID gives me very high level reports verbally, generally. In this particular case, she informed me about the impending arrest of the head of crime intelligence. I said to her, Andrea, are you sure this is a watertight case? Because arresting the head of crime intelligence is not something one takes lightly. There must be a watertight case. And she explained to me that it was part of a much bigger case strategy. This was one case that's part of a much bigger case strategy, and that the case was solid. But again, I urge, if anyone feels aggrieved by that decision, to bring a review process. And I assure the people of this country that I will look at any case, whether it's Phala Phala or this matter, objectively, and decide whether the correct decision was taken.
So they informed you before they effected the arrest.
That is correct.
So you relied on a verbal briefing. You never said, bring me a referral if there's any, so that I can satisfy myself that we have a strong case here.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I'm saying you asked her if the case is watertight, and she said yes. I'm saying to you that was enough. You never went further to say, bring me a referral, bring me documents, so that I can also satisfy myself that we have a strong case here.
We have processes in the prosecuting authority to ensure that cases are, it's not just one person that takes a decision, not just the ID. There's a team of people that actually work together to decide on these cases. So when the head of the investigating directorate gives me her assurance that the case is strong, I must take her word for it.
So you took her words. You never required.
That is correct.
Or you only relied on her words.
And a very high level briefing of what the case was about.
So according to your knowledge, was the arrest procedurally fair? Were all the requirements met for the arrest to be executed?
Can I ask what requirements the honourable member is
There's a
referring to?
referral and so on and so forth. You don't just go and arrest a person. There was a referral which was brought by a member of parliament in terms of the report that was tendered here. I'm saying, did you satisfy yourself that all the required documentation and the requirements were met before the arrest was effected?
That is not the function of a national director. And I certainly did not go into that level of detail.
It means we have different acts and DPP. Really, I don't know the act that you have, but in terms of the act that is before me now, you do have that statutory obligation. When it says a report can go further by saying, give me the documents which are relevant to this prosecution or arrest, so that you do not become a victim of misrepresentation. You can do that. There is nothing that stops you. That is why I said, to me, you appear as the NDPP who does not understand her statutory obligations.
Chair, as I mentioned, the IDAC head gave me a high-level briefing on this case, a high-level case strategy, and why this case was strong enough and important enough for them to proceed. I agree with you. The National Director requires that kind of assurance from the DPPs to ensure that we don't have errant DPPs or IDs that are doing their own thing. It's important to have that level of assurance. And in this case, I got the level at a very high level briefing, that level of assurance from the ID in this matter.
Yeah, because we are going to rely on a half-cooked information, and you are the one who accounts in Parliament. We ask questions from you. Now, if you are responsible, you can't just rely on a verbal update or report. Documents must be submitted to you so that you are going to be in a position to make justifications if that need arises, and to give a report and to be confident to me, and it ends there.
Honorable Naval, I think you're right. In future, we have to find a way of managing leakage of information and getting written reports, because you make a valid point. But dealing with leakages in the institution is a serious problem. And that is something else that, we need to find a way of strengthening our information security across government. But that is a serious concern, and I'll certainly take your point on board.
In December 2024, the media reports that the IDEC boss was addressing the personnel of IDEC, and she made some remarks. She was saying to staff members they must fake it until they leave it. They must go to court with empty files. But in summary, she was encouraging them to pretend to be busy while they were not. And you made an interview after that. I can't remember the media house that you were in, but I came across that interview. You were asked about that incident and you denounced it. You denounced it. Is it correct? Am I correct?
I didn't denounce it. Perhaps what that honorable member, that the media house that you're talking about, the Amabungane interview, because I was interviewed, and that entire interview was one that the makers of that interview used the New Lane matter as a linchpin to lynch the national director and the NPA. I was asked during that, and I hasten to add that that New Lane matter was one of the most scathing judgments against the National Prosecuting Authority. And of course, the media had a field day quoting from the judge who called it a comedy of errors, etc. We took that matter on appeal, and the Supreme Court of Appeal overturned the New Lane judgment, and in fact said in that decision, and it's important because this case seriously dented the reputation of the NPA. But the Supreme Court of Appeal overturned that decision. And in fact, the judgment rendered by the SCA is one of the strongest against the conduct of a judge that I have read. And there were terms like it went against the administration of justice and things like that. So that New Lane matter is the interview that you are referring to. And of course, when the matter was overturned by the SCA, there wasn't much that was said about it in the media.
No, I will ask 5 minutes from Kosana. I want to ask about Paul O'Sullivan.
Yeah, no, the time of Skosana is not yet allocated. Yeah.
When it's allocated, Chair, not now.
Okay. Honorable Bradenbach, you wanted to ask a follow-up question. Okay. Can I check members who want to ask follow-ups? I see Honorable Ngola. Is your hand up, Honorable Skosan? Okay. Those will be the two hands. Thank you. The list is closed.
Thank you, Chair. NTPP, the country suffered an embarrassing legal battle. Whether substantively or procedurally, we lost the application to extradite Guptas. to the Republic of South Africa to face the wrath of the law. Now, you indicate that NPA is planning to resubmit the extradition request to the UAE. But you're saying you are unable to give us the exact time frame. And that's worrisome because this matter has dragged for quite some time now. Now, why is it that you can't provide exact time frames on when is NPA going to submit an extradition request against Guptas in the UAE? What is the actual plan in respect to that? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. What I can say is from the information that I received from the ID, it will certainly be before I leave office. So, but I certainly hope it would be even before the end of this year, but it will be soon. We are working very hard on also ensuring that we have additional charges that will be added to the original extradition request. So it's the time that it's taking is that we're not just resubmitting the old request again. We have investigated some other very important cases involving other SOEs, and there will be other charges that will be added. That has been the delay and why we didn't submit immediately after that.
Honorable Skosan.
Follow up on top of follow up. The Honorable Ngola just asked the advocate. I just want to ask you, when the minister assured South Africans that
Honorable Skosana, you are not asking a follow-up on the question that was asked by Honorable Ngola.
no, I was going to ask that. So on top of what he was asking, our way of questioning would be different from Ngola, but it's the same follow-up which I want to get from her.
I just want to remind you that when your hand was up, you did not know what he was going to ask.
No. I knew what I'm going to ask, Chair.
Okay.
Yes. Now, perhaps let me say this to you. Have you ever spoken to the minister then, Lamula, about this extradition Honorable Ngola is talking about?
We had many conversations.
About this matter, the extradition matter, have you ever discussed with him?
Yes, about that.
Are you aware that the minister assured South Africans that the Guptas will be extradited from Dubai? Are you aware of that?
I didn't hear that.
I'm saying, are you not aware that the minister assured South Africans that the matter of the Guptas, they will be extradited to this country? It's just a matter of time. Was that discussion between you and him, or it was a political statement? Maybe you distance yourself from what the minister told us.
No, I don't distance myself from what the minister said. I don't know the details of it, but what I can confirm is that there will be an extradition application, and this country will do everything possible. The NPA will do everything possible to extradite the Guptas, who have been responsible largely for bringing this country to its knees, for the state that the country is in terms of when corruption has a face. The face of corruption is no sanitation, no water, no roads. The basic infrastructure of people was stolen by Guptas and others allegedly working in concert with them.
Let me add.
If I may finish, Chair, I'll be very quick. We owe it to the country that they are brought back. So what the minister said, I'm not sure, but certainly we will do everything possible from our side to extradite them. Extradition does become a political process. And so, we can't guarantee it because the process is completely in another country. But certainly from our side, the minister would be correct if he said that we will do everything possible to bring them back.
But the advocate, for me, we had a witness here, Minister of Police. We are doing exactly that now. I'm saying to you, my question is simple to you, a follow-up question on this matter, because you are talking about extradition of the Gupta family, which South Africans are waiting for. Now, my question was, have you discussed that with the minister? Because the minister assured South Africans Because as you said, let me add on that. This country is in this state because of Pravin Gordhan. You might not want to mention him, but I'll mention him for you. That family. No, I'm saying I don't want to be selective. We want them to come here to account. But I'm saying to you, hence you said that we are in this problem because of the Guptas, wrongly or rightly so. I'm saying to you, it doesn't matter whether he died. I'm saying this country is we are in this scenario because of one of the persons who has done that is Pravin Gordhan.
Point of order, Chair.
Now, no, I don't. He never respect us when we are alive. You can't tell me how to deal with that matter.
Point of order,
Now,
Chairperson.
Can I take the point of order?
yeah, please, because they are starting their shenanigans now, raising point of orders, raising their hands, because I'm mentioning somebody which they love. You know, and I'm saying let them refrain themselves because I'm talking to the advocate. The advocate is capable of answering for herself. You know, now, my last one, Chair, on this matter, I want us to finish it because they were intimidating me and we are not protecting me, Chair.
Honorable Skosan, I say to you that
always, yeah.
There is a point of order. And even when I have alerted you of the point of order, you continue to speak.
No, but they are talking to me. They're busy. Why is I'm talking? They're making a point of order, but intimidating me. Why is I'm talking? They must just raise their hand.
Honorable Skosan. Honorable Skosana, may you please look at me? Thank you. Can you see me? Okay. Thank you. Can we listen to the point of order, Honorable Sangwe?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And each time Honorable Skosana does this, I think he must know that we'll call order. Chairperson, Honorable Skosana must withdraw the remarks that he has just made. He did this on another day. We called him out. And it's on two reasons why I'm asking him to withdraw. Firstly, he's casting aspersion on a person who's not even in this house, cannot respond. Secondly, he is misleading the house. He must back up what he is saying. And if he's not able to do so, then he has to withdraw. He's misleading the house. Comrade Pravin Gordhan was not found guilty of anything. Comrade Pravin Gordhan was at no point. I mean, he's just coming up with aspersions, and he must withdraw that issue, Chair.
Point of order is sustained, and the time that has been allocated for you to make follow-ups has also expired. Can we?
I'm sorry, Chair. My time
for follow-ups.
Yeah, but I was not finished, Chair. Let's be beyond reproach in terms of political parties.
No.
If you're saying it's sustained, Sangoni, it means we are saying I'm wrong.
Honorable Skosana,
Chair.
if you may please listen to me. You know, when we allocate your time to ask you follow-up questions, we have always differentiated between follow-up questions and opportunistic questions that come with the bandwagon. So the time allocated for follow-up questions has expired. You are going to be allocated your own 30 minutes where you will come and rightfully field the questions that you are opportunistically trying to smuggle now. So if you have seen the time that Honorable Ngola used to ask follow-up questions, you will agree with me that now you are 4 times beyond that time which was allocated to him. And I want to persuade you to agree with the chair and support the chair that we must move forward. Thank you so much. Can we move to the Democratic Alliance?
Chairperson, we can't move. You said the order is sustained. He must withdraw. he must withdraw, Chairperson. These matters relating to the Guptas were fully ventilated in the State Capture Commission. Comrade Pravin, there were no findings that were made against Comrade Pravin. And for them to keep coming here every day and misleading us and saying Comrade Pravin was responsible, that can't be allowed, Chair. He must withdraw.
Did you hear what it means when we say the order is sustained? And I can see that, Honorable Skosana, you don't have a temptation to compete with the dead.
Chair, for the sake of progress, I'm going to do a noble thing. But I don't want people to say, yesterday I said that, I said that. Let's talk about what I said now. I'll withdraw now. Let's go. Let's finish with the advocate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And Honorable Breitenbach is applauding. Honorable Sokanyile and Honorable Skosana, you take Sokanyile home and you take Skosana home. Bring a public representative here.
Please repeat that, Chair.
I mean, take Sokanyile home, take Skosana home, bring a public representative here.
Thank you, Finny. That's where we are leaving it. Debates going on, allegations coming from the MK party, ANC standing up and asking them to withdraw. Things are getting warm in the ad hoc committee. Shamila Batoy is giving her evidence, being questioned by parliamentarians. They seem to have lost track a little bit, but I'm sure we'll be back there again in a little moment getting an update. Coming up after 5 o'clock, we were just waiting to confirm our guest, but we want to talk about the 30th Conference of the Parties under the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, or COP30, in another way of doing that. The goal of limiting the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius is a whole committee or a whole group of world leaders that are gathered in Brazil. And we'll get an update on what is happening there. Sport coming up in a moment. Traffic with Rob. But first, news headlines at 4:30.
Thank you, John. On the news headlines, the first vaccine to be entirely manufactured in South Africa in over 50 years has been launched at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. BioVac and the South African Medical Research Council says the oral cholera vaccine was developed from start to finish locally. Retired Ekurhuleni Metropolis Deputy Chief Rivo Space has accused now suspended acting EMPD Police Chief Brigadier Julius Mkwanazi of creating a rogue policing unit staffed by unqualified individuals posing as officers. And the president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, still has to announce a cabinet after the Electoral Commission declared her as the winner of the presidential elections. A full update follows at the top of the hour with Greg House.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Well, it's a mixture of good and bad news coming out of Durban. On your way to Pietermaritzburg today, the good news, the entry has been reopened at Cliffdale after lost load recovery. The bad news is there's now a stationary truck in that area. It may be the same one, it may be another. But anyway, the net result is a major backlog of traffic, almost back as far as Marion Hill Plaza. Of course, during the closure for the recovery operation, all the trucks at least were stacked up sort of Key Ridge into Cliffdale. Motorists now joining in that. So it's very, very heavy backlogs. Marion Hill Plaza right through to Cliffdale. If you know that old road, today's the day to be on it. Staying in Durban, a truck overturning N2 north after Higginson Highway towards Cement Factory, and a breakdown on the N2 southbound at Spaghetti Junction. Delays coming down from Umgeda Road, and truck crash recovery on the M19 inbound ramp to the N2 north. So a little bit of pressure around that routing inbound from the Reservoir Hill side this afternoon. Durban, the N3 going south is heavy from Buccleuch all the way down to the roadworks at London Road. N1 north slow up as far as New Road. It does start to move a bit better after that. And Cape Town's pretty nice weather, so there's a lot of pressure on Kloof Neck out through Tumbers Kloof towards Camps Bay. Camps Bay is busy, and just up the road between Clifton and Bantry Bay, some roadworks on Victoria Road causing quite heavy backlogs with that extra traffic today. And a crash on Marine Drive at Boundary Road, causing a delay, leaving the N1 highway slow going out to that scene through Pardon Island. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sports with Domin Khabele.
People like the fact that I played that song.
I know,
which
right?
means we're going to have to play it again.
Let's hear it.
No, I'm not going to play it now because
Why?
I got something else for you.
I want to listen to the
I got
song.
something else for you.
Okay, fine.
Okay, bye.
Well, let's start things off with rugby this summer, where Lock Federico Ruza says that Italy will need to be more precise. This is against the Springboks than they were in victory against the Wallabies. The 10th ranked Azzurri are coming off a 26-19 upset of Australia, while the world champions beat France 32-17 in Paris. This is despite playing the second half with 14 men. Saturday's match at the Allianz Stadium in Turin will be their third meeting between the sides in 2025, with the Boks having won 42-24 in Pretoria and 45-0 in Port Elizabeth in July. Italy, though, were missing several first-choice players for the tour and are definitely a different side this month, as the Wallabies can attest. In terms of football, Orlando Pirates coach Abdeslam Wadu is hoping to rely more on left-back Nkosi Ndaba in managing the load of veteran utility player Dion Hotto. Now, Ndaba's arrival from Richards Bay appears to have been part of a deliberate plan to provide cover and ease the strain on the 35-year-old Namibian, who has made over 80 club appearances in the past two campaigns, while also consistently representing his country. The 25-year-old started back-to-back matches against Golden Arrows and his former club, suggesting that he is beginning to win the coach's confidence.
Look, you have seen since the beginning the philosophy that we're trying to implement in the club, meaning to rotate the players in order to have some freshness, some competitiveness, and to protect their physical integrity as well. It's very important because we are playing many competition, and Ndaba is part of a group of Orlando Pirate players that are able to bring us something when we call him, and it's what he did. And every time when I call him, I'm very, very happy.
Elsewhere, Cristiano Ronaldo has put a timeline on his cryptic retirement hint, saying that he will hang up his boots in 1 or 2 years. With Portugal on the verge of qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, Ronaldo confirmed the tournament in the United States, Canada and Mexico will be his last on football's biggest stage. Now, Ronaldo extended his contract with Saudi Arabian side Al Nassr until 2027 in June, and maybe right now he's just eyeing that World Cup trophy, the only major title missing from his trophy cabinet. And as I was saying earlier on, John, I actually thought, okay, maybe 70 was an exaggeration, right? But I thought maybe
How old is he
he'll
now?
retire.
55. What did
He's
you say?
41.
41.
And mind you, his
Yeah.
kid is like playing for the under 16s
That's right.
now, right? So maybe I thought he'd want to
Oh.
retire after having played in
With
the
his
same
son.
team. Yes, with
Yeah.
his son.
That'd be
I mean,
great.
if the kid is 16 now, 4 more years, surely he can wait it out.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, he's 41.
And I think 70 is a reasonable age for Ronaldo.
I mean, for Ronaldo,
he's
he can
looking
do
strong.
it. Anyway, in the meantime, the Turkish Football Federation has suspended over 1,000 players from its professional leagues as part of an investigation into betting. The TFF said that players who had been identified as having bet on football, external including 27 from Turkey's top flight, have been referred to the country's Professional Football Disciplinary Board. And following the move, matches in the third and fourth division of Turkish football have been postponed for 2 weeks, although games in the country's top two divisions will continue. And I think when it comes to betting and players, it's a pandemic.
Should shut it down. If you're a player, you can't bet. Simple as that.
Yeah.
It's like the cricketers. You know, the cell phone thing after Hansi Cronje. You can't bet on sport. You shouldn't be allowed to. Because it just opens up way too many problems.
It does.
Simple.
Well, in golf, Rory McIlroy says that Europe's biggest stars need to step up to support the DP World Tour following the arrival of the breakaway Live circuit. The Masters champion was speaking before the season-ending DP World Tour Championship in the Middle East as he closes in on a 7th race to Dubai title. Now, McIlroy will move one behind the European Tour's record money list winner, Colin, if he is not overhauled by Marco Penge or Tyrrell Hatton this week.
You done? All right.
I'm done.
I was going to play the song. We're going to play the song in the next one.
Why?
For reasons. Because you were talking about the Allianz Arena where the Springboks are going to play,
Yeah.
right? So I thought, I'm sure I heard about other Allianz Stadia, all right? There's the Allianz Arena in Munich, the Allianz Stadium in Sydney, the Allianz Park in Brazil, The Allianz Stadium is Twickenham, the old England Twickenham. Allianz Field in Minnesota. Allianz Stadium in Turin, which is where the Springboks are going to play. Allianz Riviera in France, and the Allianz Stadium in Austria.
Are you sure you're done?
These guys have got some money to Allianz. So, yeah. So next, so we have to be very specific. Football, multi-purpose football, rugby football, football, multi-purpose, and football stadium.
Well, the one I was talking about was rugby.
Multi-purpose. Because it's a
Oh,
whole
yeah,
thing.
yes, yeah.
Multi-purpose. So Allianz, thank you very much for sponsoring every stadium ever on the planet. I'll play the song. I'll replay the football song, and then we'll play the original song because people wanted the original song, the Raise Your Flag song. So we'll play that as well.
Okay.
All right.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Ready to connect, innovate, and be inspired? It's all happening at Africa's Tech Festival, where Africa's technology meets the world. From the 10th to the 13th of November in Cape Town, join global leaders, investors, and innovators driving the future of Africa's digital economy. Don't miss the continent's biggest week in tech. Get your pass now at africatechfestival.com.
There's summer, and there's that extra summer with Vodacom's free gifts on summer deals. Like the new Honor X7D 256 gig on a 1 gig Red Core plan for just $299 per month over 36 months. And get a free Honor Watch 2i gift worth $999. Plus 5 gigs YouTube data for 3 months and free 2 months YouTube Premium. Now that's extra. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Let's get an update on the markets today. Paswane Mpahlele, Senior Accounts Manager at Makwe Fund Managers. Paswane, good afternoon. Premier Group with their half-year results. What happened?
Afternoon, yeah. The food champions, these are like to do ribbons, no play. So the guys are well, no. Revenues are modestly supported by volume and pricing. In an environment where food inflation is coming down, reflecting the guys have a solid customer base, strong brand, earnings were up. They're reflecting that the margins they are benefiting from that leveraging of logistics and energy. Yes, so they did do a lot of people coming into their balance sheet, helping them reduce their debt, generating a dividend payout of 150%. The share that has affected a lot of investors. Stock was 6%. When we look into the market ahead of the budget speech, your midterm budget speech tomorrow, investors got a chance to digest our unemployment chapter 3. It painted an optimistic picture sitting there at 31.9% that is improving. Signaling momentum from a low base supported by 65 resistance. But with the range of low prices because of South African investment, so structural transformation that will like the economy. You know, the likes of the UK has a 4-year high unemployment. It looks like a stone at the back of that investors are now pricing in a rate to a lot more after the US is also showing some weakening data when you think of small business optimism, the 6-month low, and this is range down supported by the fact that it's not going to go low because economies like Europe have been through a lot for the more support. The likes of both being five $4,137 per ounce, and all those rates are from different regions. Oil is up at $4 and barrel remains a lag as investors remain discounting weaknesses in the likes of the Europe and China. In the overall risk taking that is happening, US we're seeing it open in the lower, the tick is down 0.5, S&P down 0.2 and Chat and Europe would be back up JC is up 0.4, lead really reached 8%. Gas stores were down 0.2, financials were flat. Rand still holds 17.15 against the dollar, 1990 against the euro, and 22.58 against the pound.
Waswana Mphahlele, thank you very much. Senior Accounts Manager at Makwe Fund Managers.
You are listening to John Gericka on SFM.
All right, let's go back to Parliament to get an update on what's happening at the ad hoc committee, the parliamentary ad hoc committee there. Glynis Breitenbacher, the DA, is talking and questioning Shamila Batoy, National Director of Public Prosecutions.
I agree with you. It comes with a certain level of training, but experience as
Yes.
well in these types of cases. And the sad reality is that the prosecution, the NPA, was not prosecuting these complex matters before 2019. So the capacity was not, in fact, there was a deliberate attempt not to deal with many of these matters. One of the things I did when I took office was to say that the SCCU, we need to do an audit of all the cases in the SCCU to remove the cases that should go to the normal regional courts so that the SCCU focuses on the types of cases that it was meant to focus on. And so that was part of the process. But of course, when you have prosecutors that are not prosecuting these matters, then it comes with experience. So we've been trying to actually fill that gap in capacity through various ways.
Well, the SECU was never instituted or set up to prosecute traditional cases.
That's
never been part of its mandate. So if they were doing that, there should be consequences for those prosecutors who allowed that to happen. You switched off your mic.
I'm thinking.
No, okay.
It was just that it was the culture in the NPA at the time where, you know, prosecutors also chasing figures and statistics for parliament also leads them to take, because you got to take more, produce more numbers. The criteria, intake criteria is different. So there were a whole range of reasons why prosecutors were not being unethical, but they were doing the easy cases. Let's put it that way. And so one of the things I did say is that even to Parliament, that the SCCU numbers might drop. And that is because we are now focusing on the more complex cases. But I agree completely that, you know, the SCCU was never intended to be doing those kinds of cases. But that is a lot of what it ended up doing, which was the result, which was the cause for the audit when I took office.
Well, the SEC was set up to be exactly that, a specialized commercial crime unit. And doing ordinary cases hardly requires a specialist prosecutor. So they should be marched out and shot at dawn for allowing that to happen. It's a disgrace. So you and I differ somewhat on our interpretation of the Glenister 2 judgment. And you hold the view, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that that IDAC is independent sufficiently.
Adequately independent, that's correct.
Okay, yeah. So you were around when the Scorpions were disbanded. And you know what the gutting result of that was. For many people, for prosecutors, for policemen, for the NPA. And it was a day of great celebration for the corrupt and for the connected. And the reason they were disbanded was they went after particularly politicians, correct?
Including politicians, yes.
Yeah. And they were disbanded with relative ease, 51% of votes in the National Assembly. You remember?
I can't remember the percentage.
51. Well, that's all they needed was 51%.
Yes, I agree.
And with IDAC, where it's currently housed within the NPA, will you agree with me that all that's required is, again, 51%? So what kind of protection is that? What kind of independence is that? What security of tenure is that?
Why I raised the issue and said that the one benefit of Chapter 9 institution is the fact that a 2/3 majority is required. And I think that that should be an amendment that would require a 2/3 majority for removal of an IDAC head or a national director, which will actually address that. I agree, that point.
And you'll agree with me then that the independence that was envisaged by the Constitutional Court is not satisfied with IDAC as it currently is situated. Because of that reason, can we
I
disband it
don't
tomorrow?
agree, because if we look at the Glenister decision in terms of what exactly adequate independence means, I think as far as the NPA is concerned, I mentioned earlier, there are very, very few prosecuting authorities in the world where they are completely separated from the executive. Most of them have some line of reporting to the executive. And so that is why I say it's adequate independence. The issue of the operational and financial independence is another matter. But if you look at the STIRS criteria that Glenister dealt with, specialized, we are actually now making sure that we get the specialist capacities now.
One day in the future, yeah?
Well, we have to build it up, and we're trying to be innovative in terms of how we bring in the specialized capacities, whilst we're trying to address the scourge of
You don't
corruption.
have it today.
Pardon me?
The fact is you don't have it today.
No, we have a number of prosecutors in the IDEC that can do this job, and we are also hiring Section 38 lawyers to ensure that we boost this capacity to do these cases. So in that sense, we do have the capacity to deal with the cases, specialized, whether it's internal or external. Trained is, we are many of them, because I say they have the capacity and the skills, means they are in fact trained, but we don't have enough of them. And so we need to get more of them. Independence, I think, as I've explained it, there's adequate independence. You're never going to get prosecuting authorities, or very few in the world, that are completely outside of the executive. So one way of addressing your challenge is to amend the legislation to make it a 2/3 majority, which will help with the security of tenure and enhance the independence. And then resources it's the last criteria. And there again, we've been getting support from the government in terms of budget to get the resources that we need. But there's still specialized resources that come very expensive. But we are doing what we can to get the necessary resources into the IDAC. And to emphasize that, again, the IDAC has a number of cases already in court enrolled, which shows that they are getting cases to court. We must not forget that it's a year since the IDAC became permanent, and it's post-COVID, it's about 4 years since we really started turning things around in the NPA. And so what they've achieved in those 4.5 years maybe, and in the last year, I agree. I, as a national director, am also not, is the one disappointment that we couldn't move faster in this regard. But there were so many reasons why we're not able to. But there are a number of cases, and I want to emphasize, as I mentioned earlier, some of the key Gupta lieutenants are in court. We're one of the few jurisdictions in the world where we have CEOs, CFOs, ex-presidents, members of boards that are in court at the moment facing various charges. And so, I can name the Gupta lieutenants, but I don't think it's necessary. They're already in court. But there's a number of really important cases that are in court that need to move quicker through the system.
You'll forgive me if my comment to that is we need to count the convictions.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, please do.
Once a case is enrolled, rule of law does not end at an enrollment. Strong rule of law means that cases move quickly through a system to finalization. And if you look at all of the challenges in the system about why these cases simply do not move through the system, and I'm sure you, Honorable Breitenbach, will be well aware of these, the deliberate delaying tactics, the fact that the judiciary has to take a stronger role in moving cases swiftly through the system. I had the opportunity in the ceremonial sitting of Judge Zondo's retirement, as well as Judge Madlanga's retirement at the Constitutional Court. And I raised the issue, maybe at one or both of them, about what is the role of the judiciary as the third arm of government to implement government priorities in line with the sacrosanct independent mandate of the judiciary. It is really important. So if corruption is a government priority, what is the role of the judiciary in ensuring that these matters move swiftly through the court system? So I think that's something that needs to be addressed. I'm not saying it's only the judiciary is responsible for
I
this.
agree with you that they have a responsibility.
But an important responsibility to get cases moving quickly through the system. And then hopefully we will say we have finalized cases, whether they are convictions, acquittals. But I agree, it simply takes too long in the system.
So then part of the issue remains that you also need well-trained and confident judges who are not allowed, don't allow themselves to be browbeaten by the histrionics of senior counsel. Yeah. So I'm going to save some time for the Honourable Klopper, so I'm going to leave some of my questions out. We'll have to discuss the STIRS criteria a little more later, not in this forum. You said that there's no political interference, and we're so lucky to have an executive that respects the independence of the NPA. And I already referred to Chauke and the time it took for him to be suspended. In my view, that is a very demonstrable lack of support for your national director. But you don't have to answer that. Would you agree that the closing down of the DSO was politically motivated?
Well, it's certainly something that went.
Firing Pikoli was politically motivated.
I know that politicians were involved in that process.
Would you agree that the abysmal failure of the system, with no consequences, mind you, that allowed the Guptas to leave this country at all, was politically motivated?
I was not here when they left the country, and I'm not aware of the details, but it's highly suspicious about how they were allowed to
no
get out
consequences.
of the country. Apparently so.
Well, I'm asking you. You're the national director, and the NPA was in.
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Yeah.
No consequences for whom, with
Who
respect?
was in charge of that matter? They were obviously a flight risk.
My apologies, I'm not understanding.
They were obviously a flight risk. Why were they just allowed to wander around and do as they please?
That I understand. They were probably failures at various levels by various institutions that allowed that to happen.
And then this you probably won't agree with, but I'm putting it to you. I state it as my view that the constant diminishing of the budget of the police and the NPA is indirect political interference to ensure that no one is put into an orange overall.
Generally, I would agree with that statement. If that is what happens, then that is a form of ensuring that entities can't do what they need to do. But I do want to emphasize that in my term of office, we have received the budget that we require. We still need a lot more resources moving forward, particularly if the operational and financial independence kicks in. So I do want to emphasize that we have got the financial support that we need, but into the future, with the complexity of crimes and the need for additional specialized training, security of prosecutors, etc., there's going to be a need for more financial, for more budget.
So the Justice Portfolio Committee can relax. We don't have to fight for budget for you anymore. You're sorted.
Well, just for this year we're sorted, but not for the outer years.
Thank you, Chair. I have nothing further.
Honorable Klopper.
Thank you, Chairperson and Advocate Buchoy. I went through the 23, 24, 24, 25 reports, the annual reports, and there were so many similarities, though under different headings. I'm glad to hear that you mentioned you have enough budgets, because many of the lines that you would find is that there are delayed and withdrawn cases due to poor coordination between investigators and prosecutors. Unfilled senior posts, specialized shortages, weak evidence and incomplete investigations, and that's flowing from the SAPS, Hawks and NPA. And at the same time, we sit with the Zondo Commission reports, the Madlanga Commission, and this very ad hoc committee, which is trying to expose this structural rot that the justice system. And I think here's the point: no one leadership position seems to be prepared to take any ownership. It seems just to be passing the buck on to a different department, to a different person. Advocate Platoy, how do you explain after 2 consecutive annual reports, and I mean, there's many years that follow those, that the same operational failures with no measurable improvements in coordination, capacity, and conviction outcomes, especially when we refer to the high-level corruption?
Honorable Klopper, I can say it's not just 2 years. These challenges have been going on for decades. And it is a frustration that these systemic problems cannot be dealt with. I've come back and I was a DPP in KwaZulu-Natal from 2000 to around 2009. And I say to prosecutors, the same problems that we had then still persist in the system. And that is why, as you know, the importance of this hearing, of this committee, is to properly understand what are the challenges in the system, why are we still having these problems, and what do we need, what kind of policy interventions, legislative interventions do we need to ensure that the system can work better. Because clearly when it's dependent on people cooperating together, and we do it, it works well in some areas, it doesn't work so well in other areas, but it doesn't work. I gave the agreement.
All right, we're going to break away from Shamila Batoy. We've got to go to the news at 5 o'clock. National Director of Public Prosecutions, Advocate Shamila Batoy, answering questions in Parliament's ad hoc committee. There's some breaking news, and we'll keep a close eye on this. The ANC today has granted suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu special leave at his request. Initially, it wasn't. Remember, yesterday it wasn't. Fikile Mbalula, the party Secretary General, had a press conference today. He said, does Fikile Mbalula, that they'd considered the ongoing Madlanga Commission into corruption in South Africa's criminal justice system, and it would take up Mchlunu's time. That's the reason they've given for, at his request, allowing him to have special leave. So suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has now stepped away from his political party responsibilities as well. It's just one of the many stories we're keeping a close eye on. Let's get the latest news now with Greg Kos at 5 o'clock.
Thank you, John. Launch of SA's first vaccine in decades. A new Tanzania president yet to announce her cabinet. Good day to you. The first vaccine to be entirely manufactured in South Africa in more than 50 years has been launched at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Academic Hospital in Soweto. BioVac and the SA Medical Research Council say the oral cholera vaccine was developed from start to finish locally. First phase of clinical trials has now started. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi.
Nowhere on the African continent, nowhere, I repeat, do we find a pharmaceutical company that can manufacture vaccines right from the scratch, end to end. This is the first on our African continent. Of course, we are hoping that it won't be the last, but it will be the first. And that's why we are so excited about it, because it's history making.
The retired Deputy Ekhululeni Metro Police Chief Rivo Spies has accused the now suspended Acting Metro Police Chief Julius Mkhwanazi of creating a rogue policing unit staffed by unqualified individuals posing as officers. Spies has told the Madlanga Commission in Pretoria that Mkhwanazi recruited volunteers with the promise of permanent employment, allowing them to carry out official duties without training or authorization. He says the group operated with political protection and was linked to serious crimes, including murder, extortion, and copper theft.
They showed us their newspaper clippings where they are on the pictures together with our officers. They are actually part of arresting people. They use words like intelligence gathering, which is illegal. We don't have the power to do intelligence gathering. They even showed us, never mind these photos of the OBs and everything, they even showed operational plans where they are included into operational plans of working with us and that. And their claim, what they then state with all of this evidence, is that some of them have been employed as wardens, but this group have not been employed, and they're upset because they haven't been employed.
And in Cape Town, Parliament's ad hoc committees decided to have a closed session to allow for the discussion of the name of a suspended prosecutor alleged to be working with criminal syndicates. During the meeting, the NPA head Shamila Batoy refused to disclose the name. She's appearing before the committee that is probing allegations of criminal infiltration and political interference in the justice system. MPs like Ashley Sauls from the PA, through the chairperson, Balapi Lekanyane, called for a closed meeting.
Give us that name today during a closed session. That is the best we can do. Thank you, Chair.
Well, the motion is agreed to. At the end of today's session, or at the end of today's proceedings, we shall have that closed session.
However, Batoy still couldn't guarantee the information in the closed session.
We have rights in the Constitution, and we must respect those rights. And as the National Prosecuting Authority, we have, as a matter of policy, we have never disclosed the names of people that are the subject of any investigation, even disciplinary matters and criminal investigations. We, as a matter of policy, do not do that. So I hear what the House is deciding. I will have to confer with my counsel again.
News just in, and as you heard from John, the ANC has granted Senzo Mchunu special leave. He will now step away from his political party duties. We'll have more details on our next update. Further afield, the president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, still has to announce her cabinet after the country's electoral commission declared her the winner of last month's presidential polls. Sophie Mokoena has the full story.
Members of parliament in Tanzania still have to be sworn in before they can take their seats. The Electoral Commission in that country has declared the Chama cha Mapinduzi having won absolute majority in the recent elections. This landslide's victory, however, has drawn reaction as elections were marred by protests and the opposition boycotted the elections. The swearing in of MPs this week will pave way for the president to elect a cabinet. There has been silence from the presidency on the current tension in that country.
Top story, the first vaccine to be entirely manufactured in South Africa in more than 50 years has been launched at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Academic Hospital in Soweto. That's SAFM News, I'm Greg Huss.
In sports, our PSL revenue grows despite sharp drop in profit. Two fans die on second day of ATP finals in Turin, and Azuri wary of unpredictable box. More details at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. If you're leaving Joburg, anyway to Pretoria, wanting to get up through Midrand, wondering what the situation is. Fairly heavy today from Buccleuch up as far as New Road. Once you get past New Road, it's on the move quite rapidly. The N3 South from Buccleuch down to London Road at Alex into the roadworks. That's heavy today. N3 North, Limbro Park up to Buccleuch, pretty still standing into that set of construction as well. Some delays getting out of Joburg on the Main Reef Road option out towards Nazareth Road. That's very slow. So delays starting to push back into the Crown area today. Pretoria traffic all looks fairly standard. There is a crash on Sefaka-Makato at Moloto Road, so coming off the N1 highway, turning onto Sefaka-Makato. That is slow go. Now, major delay alert if you're going out of Durban through to Pietermaritzburg. We've had this lost load incident at Peacevale earlier today. It's largely reopened the road and the truck is being cleared, but it's a major backlog from Marion Hill Plaza through Shongweni, up Key Ridge and into that Cliffdale area. It is absolutely traffic forever. You might want to leave earlier or later, I beg your pardon, or get onto the alternative routes. Durban's N2 South, a breakdown before Spaghetti Junction. That's slow. There's a crash going north on the N2 near Cement Factory and a crash on the N2 South at Prospecton, causing some delays as well. Cape Town, fairly heavy on the N2 out to Khayelitsha, queuing as far as the Spine Road exit today. And the N1 out of town with a breakdown just near the N7 bridge means some delays leaving the city centre. To get past that, you stay in traffic right through to Brackenfell. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Expresso Morning Show has been nominated in 5 categories in the 3rd Annual National Film and Television Awards South Africa.
It all happens on Saturday, the 22nd of November 2025 at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. And public voting is open from the 13th of October to the 20th of November at midday.
So visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register and vote for Expresso Morning Show in all 5 categories.
Then, of course, catch us weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. right here on S3.
This November, SAFM proudly presents the 3rd annual lecture.
And as the Freedom Charter says, no legitimate government could claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. And I think sometimes people forget that.
SAFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi. The theme of the lecture is confronting inequality, corruption and unemployment, rebuilding South Africa's social contract for inclusive and sustainable growth. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Four Ways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m. You are listening to John Gericka on SAFM.
John in Firestrife, good afternoon. If you just joined us, it is the National Pulse. It's funny, we listen to the traffic that Rob tells us or Imagi tells us. And Finney was just saying, like 20 minutes ago, he was saying, you know what I haven't heard today? I haven't heard about Spaghetti Road. What's it called, John? Spaghetti Junction. I haven't heard Spaghetti Junction. Throws Bob. Rob goes on and starts talking about Spaghetti Junction. Finney's like, there, I told you. What is going on at Spaghetti Junction? Every single day there's an issue. It's the same as the PPC cement factory. There's always a truck broken down just near the PPC cement factory in east of Johannesburg. Welcome to the show. Let's talk about something completely different. We're going to go back to the ad hoc committee later on, I promise, and we're going to play some of your voice notes. We'll take some of your phone calls as well, open lines later on. But first, let's talk about what's happening in Brazil. It's the 30th conference of the parties under the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, underway in Belém in Brazil. This year's conference focusing on the goals of limiting the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius, advancing climate finance commitments as well. Let's talk to Thando Lekoko. He's MD of Mansa Advisory. That's a climate services consultancy. Thando, thank you very much for joining us. Good evening. What is the point of these conferences?
Good evening, John. Thank you so much for having me on your show. So essentially, we know climate change is a problem in the world, including South Africa. We know that the fuels is a driver, the production of carbon dioxide. And so the climate conference of the parties is simply to basically agreement for how we're going to reduce climate dioxide in the atmosphere. There are various instruments that will be negotiated. And so one of those elements, for instance, is the issue of how do we finance the steps that will happen with climate. Number two, how do we tie that in with countries' ambitions for what we want development, tie those goals in with the climate targets so that at least we can contribute. So this is the entire part of the whole purpose around the agreement is how do we then negotiate in such a way that it benefits South Africa and the country, not necessarily disenfranchise South Africa with which is one of the themes of the discussion.
The big headline, though, is the three big boys aren't there: India, China, and America. They are the biggest producer of carbon emissions.
Correct. And that one is dominantly due to the geopolitics happen. We're quite aware of the trade war between the US and China. At the moment, China is essentially leading the race in some respects as far as climate ambition is concerned. However, India is also a strategic alliance with China and the US. So it's kind of caught in the middle. And so the US trying to maintain its hegemony in the world, they're using this space for trying to push back on the influence of China. Not, I mean, don't talk about to say climate change is a hoax. So he's trying to follow through with the narrative. He's pulled out of the Paris Agreement. So he didn't find it as them. However, because of the politics outside of that space, in China's participation, it's also affecting India's participation. But strictly speaking, we should be there as well.
So again, come back to the initial question. What's the point of this if the three biggest emitters and polluters on the planet aren't there?
Well, John, it's one of those situations where you're better off trying to talk to your enemies, so to speak, than not, right? Because at least when you're talking to them, you can kind of start where they're at and how you might bring them over, to a winning advantage, rather than what the U.S. is trying to do at the moment, which is disengage from any of this conversation, financial. So it's necessary that they come to speak, but of course they play in the political game to try and see who's the bigger boy in the field.
One of the criticisms of these events, Tando, and I'm sure as a climate services consultancy, you'd agree that here's all these people flying in their big jets into the rainforest. Why don't they just do this on a Zoom meeting?
You know, we tried it. If you recall, just before lockdown, I was in lockdown, did have a few of these meetings online, but it's just not feasible because of the amount of time talking to people, negotiating with me. So if just give you a situation, we're in a room talking to people, trying to get them to agree on what the language of the agreement should be. But if you don't meet that agreement in the room, you then go to the moment outside of that room, lunch and tea and all that, to be able to discuss, which is virtually impossible to do on a Zoom call. So it's kind of difficult because, traveling produces so much of the carbon dioxide, but doing it virtually is not going to go. It's kind of a doing that.
All right, let's talk about balancing the climate and development. Right, that's the big thing. You mentioned that, and how much it's going to cost. So, do these global West listen to the global South, for lack of a better word, and say, well, okay, you need to develop. You also need all the factories to be able to do that. How do they do that balance?
So this is probably the biggest contention at the moment, right? And there are a couple of elements that are under negotiation that kind of reflect this. The big one is what's called Article 9. Article 9 says that while Paris Agreement put a lot of emphasis on developed nations providing resources to developing nations to implement climate the ambition, Article 9 says now we also need to look at developing nations to be able to resources, right? Because it's kind of a change because you were most responsible. Now that we don't pay for your responsibility, you want me to pay for it. So there's a element. Last year when we were in school, the number was 1.6 billion. The number that was beat was 200 billion, right? 200 billion rather. And so a quarter of what was required for 1 year was received, which means all these agreements now and interventions that need to be done that can't be done finance. So it's really just this thing of developing nations trying to avoid the financial burden of developing nations like Africa, a transition to be able to do the work that needs to be done to come on paper. And largely these are trying to avoid the issue of having to pay for it.
You mentioned Trump, and I knew that as soon as we'd start talking about the climate, we'd get these messages as well. How do we convince the general population that there is a climate issue, or is this just a whole bunch of people getting together trying to make money on it? What one listener says is a fake climate rubbish.
Look, I think the needs that not question it in the past. Seen in cases evidence of we're seeing different parts of the world having weather events just coming to be used. And so one must, if it's not climate or if it's not climate induced, what is it? It can't be just random events as much as people want to believe it. So there's enough. The question is, are these things man-made or computer generated or the computer? I think it's fair to say that it's not hoax because what happened in Antarctica cannot be man. Right? Question of how do we then put in the necessary procedures to make sure that we can pick up now when these weather events are impact themselves.
Right, let's go back to the money. The European Union are probably the most important factor here, with China and America pulling out. They've got this war happening on their doorstep between Ukraine and Russia. Do they care about the climate at the moment?
So it's an interesting question because they should care the most, right? So the opportunity that was presented to the European Union when Trump pulled out was that the EU could have to be the big boy in the room providing the necessary financial resources, right? But what we saw is that the European Union is also quite dependent on resources specific. And what we're seeing is that it's trying to move into the space to be able to plug the hole. So the whole Ukraine there's a lot of different for the thing a big security, which I completely understand based on what's happening. I think being the ones who are strongest on climate policy with the resourcing should have kept further into that role. Haven't. Now they're starting to move into that space and out the next a lot of.
Thunder, we got 2 minutes. Is Africa just going with the begging bowl, or have we got solutions?
It depends on who you're speaking to. That Africa does have solutions. The biggest challenge with the solutions it has is that a lot of them are coming from small innovative, right, who may not have like kind of experience expertise as a big multinational, which does have a bearing on the financing of the receive they do. This is where the people recently when we were in Addis, Kenya, 100 billion US, to be able to deal with the climate and climate impacts across Eastern African countries. And that money was mobilized. So this is able. One of the things that really is digital. Some of the outside to be get the need set conditions for high.
Yeah. All right, we've got to leave it there. Thando Lekoko, thank you very much. MD of the Mansa Advisory. It's a climate services consultancy. COP30 on the go. As I said, one message coming in saying, only idiots believe this fake climate change. What are your thoughts on what is happening with the COP30? 086 000 2032, or you can leave a voice note on 0614 104 107.
It's Flake or Break in the Elimination Challenge on the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7:30 on SABC2. It's all about perfectly baked pastry and a deliciously savory filling as the bottom 6 bake their own pies from scratch. There's no time for half-baked measures as they fight for a spot in the next round. That's the Tastemaster Junior, Tuesday evenings at 7:30, repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
SAFM is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio. You're listening to the National Pulse.
If you're watching us on YouTube and all the live things, how's it? I'm wearing my punk radio t-shirt today. I'm dressed up. I'm wearing long pants because it's cold in Johannesburg. Sport coming up in about 10 minutes or so. News headlines as well. A story we're keeping an eye on, and we were hoping to do a couple of conversations on this, but the journalists were unavailable. MK Party were not willing. We were going to talk to the MK Party after talking to the journalists. It's an ongoing story, something we started, 5 days ago, and there was the story about South Africans stuck in the Russia-Ukraine war. What has come out now is these are MK Party members. After bogus, they were lured, as we discussed, for bodyguard training, and I use that in inverted commas. And apparently, they went over to Ukraine or Russia to be trained as bodyguards, and they've landed up in the trenches of that Russia-Ukraine war. 17 men are stuck in Ukraine. Apparently, they were secretly sent to that war to be trained as MKP bodyguards. They failed to be rescued by Zuma and Dudazile. They reached out to President Cyril Ramaphosa, as we heard. That dates back to last week, where the president was doing an inquiry into how those people got there. So this is an ongoing story. As I said, we were hoping to talk to the journalists. News 24 broke the story today. We were hoping to talk to the journalists. Unfortunately, we can't do that. But if it doesn't happen in breakfast tomorrow, we'll definitely be talking about this tomorrow afternoon. Meanwhile, what do you make of that story? It changes things very quickly. We initially, and we didn't want to speculate, but we were speculating a little bit about these people that were there and why they were there and what they were fighting for. We're getting a little bit more details now. So what do you make of that? Has that changed your perception of these men? 086 000 2032, and we'll take some voice notes later on as well on 0614 104 107. Back to the ad hoc committee in Parliament. Shamila Batoy, National Director of Public Prosecutions, is answering questions from parliamentarians.
That we're able to access what we need. This is a recent development, and I would just ask that we allow that process to unfold to see if this better access works for the IDAC.
Okay.
And,
So the law requires you to follow a particular procedure for you to access information. The department, further to help you, trains prosecutors. But you still come here and say you have got hindered access to the Zondo Commission information.
If I may say, I agreed to a suggestion that the honourable member had made to me in using that terminology. I was trying to explain with respect what exactly the process is. So initially, as I said, and I'm repeating myself, forgive me, but the entire database was meant to come to the NPA. That was the agreement that we had. But later on, the Department of Justice said that that should not happen because correctly they are the custodians and that all of that information will be under the department's control. We've then had a long history of the training took place probably more than 2 years ago or so of some investigators. And there's been a long history of us trying to get the access that we need. As I said, there have been ongoing conversations and discussions. There is still now a new process that is going to be put in place. And I'm asking that we allow that process to see whether the IDAC gets better access to the database and gets access to the information that it needs, because this is critical for the prosecution of these cases.
Does the NPP have an appreciation that the information is not only meant for the NPA, but it's meant for all the law enforcement agencies of the country? Thank you, Chair.
Absolutely. I agree fully with that, and I have an appreciation for that as well.
Then we move to Honorable Sangwe.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Advocate Batoy, please, will you help me just understand? I need to know the difference or similarities, if there are any, between the Scorpions and IDAC. I'm asking this because I thought that what had made the Scorpions successful, I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but this prosecutor-guided investigation approach that you're talking about, or something of that nature, which is exactly what I think has been given to IDAC now. Could you just clarify that for me, please?
Certainly, the prosecutor guided there's two types of prosecutor guided methodology and prosecutor led investigations. The prosecutor guided investigations are where the prosecutors in the NPA work with investigators in the police, and they work together in a coordinated way. That's ideally what it should be. In order, prosecutors guide investigators in investigations, but the investigators are from the police. The prosecutor-led model is the IDAC model, where investigators, prosecutors, and other disciplines that are needed fall under one structure. That's prosecutor-led investigations, and that is the model of the Scorpions as well. The difference is that it's the same model, but the Scorpions had a much wider mandate in that they also investigated organized crime and high-level complex economic crimes. The IDAC mandate is restricted to certain types of corruption and other forms related crimes as per the Act. That is essentially the difference.
Okay. So would I be correct then? I think I'm drawing from this discussion that I'm following up on the Scorpions. So if the Scorpions were disbanded because they were chasing politicians, I paraphrase, right? They were disbanded because they were chasing politicians. Then you go and you take exactly the same model that was a success in the Scorpions. You give that mandate to IDAC. you give them cases where largely the expectation is that you'll have, politicians, high-profile people in the cases coming out of state capture. Would that not mean that this government has taken a decision to go to exactly where the challenge was as it relates to state capture, create a model that works in the same way as the Scorpions in order to strengthen the fight against corruption, and even specifically corruption that is seen to implicate politicians?
I think you're right, Honorable Sangoni. And the danger of that is if politicians feel threatened by the success of a unit, they would want it shut down. So that is a threat and a risk.
And I heard you how you're saying we must respond to it. But I think the point that I'm driving is
paraphrase, so I'm using your term. Sorry.
No, I get you. And I get you how you said it must be protected, right? But for all intents and purposes, those wrongs or the wrong that was done, the original sin against the Scorpions, to a certain extent is being addressed by the establishment of IDEC.
If I understand your question correctly, Honorable Sangoni, are you saying that the part of the mandate of the Scorpions is the mandate of the IDAC and the methodology is the same? Am I getting it right? I just want to understand your question, please.
You see, I don't want to get the president into trouble by saying he re-established the Scorpions, right? But if the Scorpions, you said there may be political interference. So if the Scorpions were disbanded because they were chasing politicians, by creating an IDEC that you give a mandate to look at corruption, to look at state capture cases, basically where the politicians are, and then you give it the same methodology of operating, which had proven to be effective in the Scorpions, then to a certain extent you've tried to right whatever wrong was done by the disbandment of the Scorpions as it relates to the chasing of politicians.
I would broadly agree with that suggestion.
Seems like a good place to break in. Shamila Batoy there in conversation with parliamentarians. The ad hoc committee in the full name, Ad hoc Committee Probing Allegations of Corruption in the Criminal Justice System. You with SAFM, just about time for news headlines. We've got sport with Tumi coming up. I'm going to play a little bit of Raise Your Flag, Fly Your Flag. It was the 2010 World Cup song. I thought it was Waka Waka, but Raise Your Flag was, we had a few songs, didn't we? So why not? We'll play that. We'll play a little bit of it because there's also business to do as well. All of that's coming up. It's 5:30.
Headlines. The National Teachers Union says it's pleased there have been no reported irregularities or exam paper leaks with the matric exams. The first vaccine to be entirely manufactured in South Africa in more than 50 years has been launched at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital in Soweto. And the chairperson of Parliament's ad hoc committee looking into concerns around national security has joined other members of the committee in expressing unhappiness about the refusal of the NPA head to divulge the name of a suspended prosecutor. All those details and more at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
The biggest delay around the country this afternoon, without doubt, the run out of Durban towards Pietermaritzburg. Another stationary truck in amongst the already heavy traffic. This is at Cliffdale. The backlog is severe all the way back past Shongweni. If you're heading out of Durban, want to get to Pietermaritzburg, consider that old road or consider a later departure, a much later departure. Also staying in eThekwini, a truck is overturned on the N2 North near Cement Factory, so coming through from Chatsworth at Sloane, and a crash just down between Prospecton and 20 Hills. So on your way towards the south coast, that section of the N2 South under pressure as well. Joburg side, looking fairly busy on the N3, perhaps a touch busy than you might be expecting. This is between Buccleuch and the roadworks down at London Road. N1 North is pretty solid from Buccleuch all the way through to Olifantsfontein Road. Traffic lights are still a problem. Winnie Mandela and Sloane, so getting up towards the highway on Winnie Mandela is quite busy. If you're trying to get through the four ways, you've got a lot of traffic through that Bryanston area today. The Mike one, not too bad. A bit of traffic between Sandton and Melbourne. Melrose, and then from Parktown down into Crown. I've certainly seen a lot heavier than that. Cape Town side, just generally busy out of town. The N1 from the city centre all the way through to Brackenfell. The N2 queuing heavily, home again towards Khayelitsha. Delays from the airport out towards the Spine Road exit. And it's a busy Tuesday for traffic heading through to Tableview and Bloberg. Queues through Pardon Island to Boundary Road, and then through Milnerton all the way up to Dolphin Beach Hotel. Not many gaps in that traffic as well. Also, roadworks, N7 North, Four Tracker Road. So delays coming up from the Epping Fire Station. Very slow, passing the casino on your way to Goodwood. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sports with Domin Kapele.
John, it is your cue.
Oh, sorry, I was pointing. I see. The problem is what happens. It's a little radio secret. We obviously talk to each other and talk about stuff before the microphones go on, and sometimes I forget that the listeners have no idea what we've been talking about for the last 20 minutes. We've been talking about politics. We've been talking about Messi, Ronaldo retiring. It's been fun.
It has. Nalkins was just telling us, or actually just showed me a video of this couple taking a video, innocently so, on the streets. It's a couple, I think it's their anniversary or whatever, and then Messi just walks by as if he's just some casual, random person.
You probably find in America they don't even know who he is. Yeah. Unless you're a football fan in America, and there's only 10 of those.
You think people would not know who Messi is?
In the States.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking football. The Premier Soccer League has made less profit this year, but still managed to bring in more money overall. According to the league's financial report, profits they have dropped from 33.9 million rand in 2023-24 season to 2.25 million rand. On the bright side of things, total revenue went up by 9% from 1.09 billion to 1.19 billion, mainly because of stronger broadcast and commercial deals. Meanwhile, Bafana head coach Hugo Bruce says that a win against Zambia in an international friendly on Saturday is crucial for the team to maintain their top 10 ranking in the African rankings. For the next FIFA World Cup draw on the 5th of next month in the US, the world rankings will be key in determining the placement of the 48 teams according to their pots.
Preparation for the game of Saturday, friendly game, but for me, friendly games don't exist. Every game we have to be focused and concentrated and trying to win that game, and it will not be different for this game. I want to win on Saturday, and that's also the reason why my first idea was to let players of Sundowns and Pirates in their club, because they have a very overloaded program, but at the end, that changed my mind, because, again, I want to win. And why I want to win, first of all, it's important for our ranking.
Elsewhere, Cristiano Ronaldo has put a timeline on his cryptic retirement hint, saying that he will hang up his boots in 1 or 2 years. With Portugal on the verge of qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, Ronaldo confirmed the tournament in the United States, Canada, and Mexico will be his last on football's biggest stage. Ronaldo extended his contract with Saudi Arabian side Al Nassr until 2027 in June, and maybe eyeing the World Cup trophy, the only major title missing from his trophy cabinet. And in rugby, Federico Ruza says that Italy will need to be more precise. This is against the Springboks when they were in a victory against the Wallabies. The 10th ranked Azzurri are coming off a 26-19 upset of Australia, while world champions beat France 32-17 in Paris. This is despite playing the second half with 14 men. And Saturday's match at the Allianz Stadium in Turin will be the third meeting between the sides in 2025, with the Boks having won 42-24 in Pretoria and 45-0 in Port Elizabeth in July. Meanwhile, Springbok Women's Sevens forward Lee Fortain says that making a debut for South Africa at the Rugby Africa Women's Sevens Cup in Ghana last year was one of the proudest moments of her younger career.
With my debut last year in Ghana, it was a very special moment for me, because obviously a youngster coming into the team from juniors into the Seven national team is like a massive goal and a dream for many youngsters, and having to actually play on your first national tournament and Africa Cup, it was a very special moment for me, because everybody's dream and goal is to wear the green and gold jersey, and actually having to have an unexpected debut try, it was mind-blowing.
Well, then in tennis, 2 spectators died from cardiac arrest during the second day of the ATP finals in Turin today. The individuals were aged 70 and 78, and the incidents occurred at different times yesterday. The first singles match between Lorenzo Musetti and Taylor Fritz was delayed with an announcement made regarding a medical situation in the arena. Finally, in golf, Rory McIlroy says that Europe's biggest stars need to step up to support the DP World Tour following the arrival of the breakaway Live circuit. The Masters champion was speaking before the season-ending DP World Tour Championship in the Middle East as he closes in on a 7th race to Dubai title. And McIlroy will move one behind the European Tour record money list winner Colin Montgomery. I'll have more on other sports tomorrow, but before I leave,
play the jam. Play the jam.
Messi or Ronaldo, give me Neymar or Mbappe, Lewandowski, Luka Modric, Raheem Sterling, Dusan Vlahovic, Ballon d'Or, Benzema, Kevin De Bruyne, Morata, Darius Bale and Sadio Mane, who will be cured by a magic spell, the wee big shirt and Shaki, Alfonso Davies, Chucky Lozano, Müller, Minamino Son, Taremi De Jong, l'Italiano.
Going to the other song. Play.
John, I just want to say that thank you so much for that song because I really needed to hear something that will cheer me up, especially listening to the Madlanga Commission and just trying to understand how did, especially Mkonazi, get away with so much impunity in the MPD and where is he? It's just that I'm just utterly shocked. Is he arrested? What's going on? Being suspended? It's just shocking. It's really I'm fatigued by all of what I'm hearing every single day.
John, Tumandla Kupula from Ekwebek. That's Kanan, raise your flag. It's a quite cool number. He was actually out here Ekwebek back in 2010, man. He's an amazing Somali Canadian performer guy, man. He has done work with Damien Marley, Nas, man. It's an amazing, just legends around him. He's Pied Piper at the entire stadium, bro. Was about 6,000 people there. I know that because my brother's production company were in charge there that afternoon, bro. My brother actually got to just walk around the dude, not caring about it. My brother doesn't care about rappers. He just walked past it. Like, that's a Grammy Award winner, bro. You just walk past him. Like, I'm at work, bro. I'm doing engineering here, not fanboy. But shout out to that song, bro. Kanan is a great artist. He's a great contributor to our continent, man. Just Google him. The spelling is weird. It's KNAAN. Just Google him. He's a great opera to our continent. Shout out.
So there we go.
We need that hand clap. Phineas. I mean, like, wow, that was a whole production.
Where's you got there we go.
You literally just took us down memory lane.
Oh, thanks. 2010. How old? I'm not even going to ask. It's rude to ask a lady how old you were in 2010.
I was young.
You were young.
But I worked as a host.
Oh, were you?
Or a hostess, whatever.
Do you still have your jacket?
I hated it.
Do you still have your jacket?
No.
Because they gave out the big fluffy jackets.
No, it was not that kind of host. Like, it was horrible. Like, it was the worst experience of my life. I was freezing. I was not treated well. I was not allowed to watch what was happening on the field.
Yes.
However, I was working in the stadium.
So you had to have your back to the ground.
Literally. Like, yeah.
So
literally.
not fun memories then?
No.
All right. Do your thing.
I was literally at the stadium.
But you didn't see any football?
No, anyway, I need to go. I'm so hurt.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy, but day by day, somehow it grew.
You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Ready to connect, innovate, and be inspired? It's all happening at Africa's Tech Festival, where Africa's technology meets the world. From the 10th to the 13th of November in Cape Town, join global leaders, investors, and innovators driving the future of Africa's digital economy. Don't miss the continent's biggest week in tech. Get your pass now at africatechfestival.com.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Jimmy Mayahas. Sorry, you had to wait for a little bit, but we're going down memory lane there, Jimmy.
Good afternoon, John.
How's
Good
it going?
afternoon to the listeners.
What's happening in the markets?
It's been a good day. It's been one of those days where I suppose markets, again, continue to try and make sense of what's happening. I say it's a good day because I'm looking at the rand in particular. If I look at equity markets, it paints a bit of a different picture. It comes across a bit more mixed and a bit more uncertain than what the rest of the market looks like. But we'll get into the figures in a second. A sense of what we're going to be looking at on the show later. We're going to be taking a look at the loan from the World Bank. There's yet another loan approved by the World Bank for South Africa, just shy of $1 billion, around 16 odd billion rand, depending on what exchange rate you're using at that time. And it's said to be for service delivery in 8 of the cities in South Africa that contribute about 85% of the economic output of the country. So it's a bit of a strange one. Was initially approved back in August. We seem to be getting a bit more color around it now from both the World Bank and potentially from National Treasury. We're going to be taking a look at that and seeing if we can make sense of that. We're also going to be digging into the unemployment numbers and the stats around that. It's been all the talk this afternoon. We're going to be taking a look at what they say about the state of the economy and what potentially we could learn from where that puts us going into tomorrow's conversation. And we're also going to dig into tomorrow's conversation. We're going to get budget expectations. This is, of course, the mini budget, the midterm budget policy statement that will be tabled tomorrow by National Treasury and our Minister of Finance. We're going to get a sense of what to expect from that, what we would like to see from that, and potentially how it starts to shape the economy. The rand has been reacting quite positively all week ahead of this. So yesterday and today, we've seen the rand strengthen to levels that in some cases we haven't seen in quite some time. So there is a bit of optimism around the South African story at the moment, and I suppose the market right now is waiting with bated breath to see what the midterm budget policy statement will deliver and how that will then influence potentially what we go into the following year with. We've also got a conversation taking a look at the agricultural tech space with the team at Nedbank. And then because it is Tuesday, we also have an agri feature. We're going to be taking a look at South African exports, particularly focusing on the citrus space. It seems we've got record exports yet again for the second quarter of the year. We're going to see how that is going to be influencing the agricultural markets and what we can make of that data. But before we get to those conversations, as I promised, a sense of market movements throughout the day. Equity markets have been rather mixed. Asian markets, the only winner, as in the only Asian market to finish in the green, was the Hang Seng in Hong Kong. That was up about 0.14%. In European markets, they were all in the green. The CAC 40 in France, the biggest winner, up 1.2%. The FTSE not far behind, up about 0.9%. The US markets, strangely enough, are open have opened in the red rather. The Dow Jones is in the green, but the S&P and the Nasdaq are both down. The S&P 0.25%, the Nasdaq 0.5%, and obviously those markets will trade into the evening, so we'll keep an eye on that and see what unfolds from that perspective. South African markets had a better day as well today. Yesterday was a really good day for our local markets. Today, resources still carrying a lot of the weight there, 1.89% to the green. Industrials were down 1/3%, and resources down, financials down a little over 1/5%. The all share, on the other hand, was up 1/3%. The top 40 up also around 1/3%. The gold price $4,100 a fine ounce, 4,107 to be more precise. Brent crude $64.87 a barrel. Platinum pricing $1,586. Silver pricing $50 a fine ounce. The price of a Bitcoin relatively unchanged from where we left it yesterday, around the $103,000 level. But the rand is a little stronger against the US dollar. 17 rand 16. 19.90 is what €1 would cost you. 22 rand 60 is one British pound. 11 rand 20 is $1 Australian dollar. Before I go, John, yesterday you posed a rather interesting question around understanding the concept of compound interest, and I thought the simplest way to explain it, given that we seldom have enough time to get into some of the intricacies, is if you think about 100 rand and your 100 rand grows by 1% a day.
Yeah, so it's 101 rand tomorrow.
Right.
Okay.
So the concept of compound interest now regards your new principal amount, your new capital investment as 101, no longer 100. And so 101 growing by 1% is obviously going to grow more than 100 growing by 1%. And that's how you can understand the concept of compounding in an easy way.
So tomorrow, the day after, it'll be 101 rand and 10 cents, and it'll just keep on going like that, I mean.
Yes. So you're
102 rand and 10 cents.
Exactly. Yeah. And then after that, you're now measuring 1% of the 102, no longer 1% of the 100 that you initially had. Whereas if you think about simple interest, it's just the same flat amount, 1 rand over the same period of time. So compound interest allows for interest to be added to your principal, and that becomes your new principal. So new interest is calculated on a bigger amount.
I was just amazed. What was it, 3,000 or something percent growth if you go at 1% every day? The mind boggles. It's mathematicians, and you guys get paid way too little to work all of that out.
Well, just happy to help, John.
Jimmy Moyaha, thank you very much. You're with SAFM. It's 11 minutes to 6.
Bafana and Chipolopolo have a massive meeting on the battlefield. This is not just an international friendly. The two nations are gearing up for the Africa Cup of Nations. Witness the Southern African Derby, South Africa versus Zambia, on Saturday, 15 November at 5:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC2. Then on SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
The last 10 minutes of the show are yours. 086 000 2032. What do you have to say? So many goings on around the world. It's difficult to keep up, to be fair. You can also SMS, you can send us a WhatsApp on 0614 104 107. Say that again. WhatsApp voice notes if you want on 0614 104 107. Keys is taking your calls on 086 000 2032. Plenty to get through. Let's see what your voice notes are saying today.
Today, I am highly convinced that Batoy has never been the right person for this position. She is skirting around so many questions being asked. She doesn't have information that is needed on her in a position. It's pathetic to listen to her. It's actually disgraceful. Can't wait for her to go. We're going nowhere. And the criminals will continue to run this country. Teresa.
Good afternoon, John Herika and your hardworking team of producers behind you. My name is Mpepo Mpirini from Limpopo, Mkumbani village. John, our country is rotten to the core. We no longer know who to trust in our country. Our politicians are no longer to be trusted. They are now criminals. High-ranking law enforcers are now high-ranking criminals. John, when you go to bed in the evening, You are no longer sure as to whether you will be alive tomorrow. Rape, killing for fun, killings by drug lords, gender-based violence is the order of the day. Whoever dreamed to live in a country like this in the early 90s? If Mandela, Sisulu, Govan Mbeki, and others can rise from grave, do we think they will believe this is the country they fought for? I don't think so. Not at all. Thank you so much. I am Pepumpirin Limpopo Mkumani Village.
There was a text WhatsApp that came through. It says, amongst all the disgusting things I heard yesterday about the shenanigans which happened at the Ekurhuleni Metro Police in the Madlanga Commission was the killing of an innocent person and his body thrown in the river. iPad has done nothing so far. That was Mike in Denelton who sent that one.
How's it, John? SAFM listeners, Justin from Durban. John, I've just seen on X, I'm not sure how true it is or if it's been confirmed, that Malay from Argentina is pulled out of the G20. So USA is out, Argentina could be out. Will it be called the G18 summit? But nevertheless, wishing South Africa all the best on hosting this. And I think it's going to be phenomenal for our country. And I hope that after the summit, we can still continue with Johannesburg being as spotless as it is right now. And yeah, John, just waiting for your update on the 17 South Africans. Have a good one.
Yeah, keeping a close eye on that story. Don't forget also, if you're in Johannesburg, they're doing rehearsals again on the roads this coming weekend. So be prepared for more road closures and people moving up and down, especially down in the Nasrec area. But I see there's some movements around Sandton. There's movement up in Four Ways as well. So be careful on Saturday if you're in Joburg.
Hi, good afternoon, John. John, it's interesting how the story of these MK people that went to Ukraine, Russia to be trained as bodyguards is unfolding. You might find out that they were there to be trained to overthrow governments. That's my analysis about those people. Now it backfired. Now they are stuck. I just hope Ramaphosa does not help them. Let them stuck there. The one that sent them there must bring them back. Bob, Cape Town.
Yeah, like I said, it was a News 24 story that happened earlier on today. We did try to get hold of the journalists. Unfortunately, both of them weren't able to chat to us today. It is a story we'll be keeping a close eye on. If Tulas doesn't do something about it tomorrow morning, then we'll definitely do it tomorrow afternoon. We'll see what we can get. We didn't want to do a speculation story. We wanted to get the facts, so we thought let's go to the journalists that have got their sources. And then we're also going to try and get MK Party to respond to that as well. So it is an ongoing issue. We're keeping a close eye on it.
Hi, John. Climate change is real. However, the carbon credits and the big bullying by particularly G7 countries over third world countries is clear. Just like the non-proliferation treaty, the ban on landmines, ban on cluster bombs and nuclear proliferation, which Israel and America don't sign, but get everyone else to sign, signatories to the ICC, etc., or small countries and use it as a weapon against them to sign all of these treaties, and the big boys don't do it, or even if they sign, you can't enforce it against them. This has been the pattern for decades. Even the whole setup of the UN Security Council is another form of the same bullying. So highly manipulated and not in the interests of third world countries.
Good afternoon, SAFM. My name is Gwen. I'm phoning from Hartbeespoort. What I want to say is that plastic is made from fossil fuel. And when light shines onto fossil fuel, it releases heat. So why doesn't anybody talk about plastic? Because we should, wherever we don't need to use plastic, we should not use plastic. Our government should ban plastic bags, things like that. We really have to start focusing on plastic. We had to start focusing on plastic a long time ago. But plastic is made from fossil fuel, and plastic is creating global warming.
Hey John, can you please repeat that what you just said about the spaghetti road and then throw in the little bit of PPC cement truck? It's always fun listening to John, even with Sakina. But in a serious fact, John, I was listening to Shamila Batoy there. You know the NPA is playing with us South Africans. I mean, if uh, we can be able to open cases that happened through like during apartheid, why can these cases of this extradition, the people who were granted bail and all that, why can't they be open and looked upon? And the people who handed down that judgment be hold to account. I mean, it's possible we can do that. Thank you, Gwen.
Another one. You see, Finney's getting famous. Finney pushes the buttons. He was the one who did the mixing for all that music as well. Is somebody else on Spaghetti Junction?
Afternoon, John.
Check.
Spaghetti Junction is in fact formerly Twitter Entertains. Quite a impressive engineering work with 4 different levels of road where the N2 and the N3 intersect. But there's a lot of roadworks that are going on around there, so a lot of jams at the moment, which is why it features on Rob's report so much. But it was like that, different roads come and it looks a bit like a spaghetti bolognese. But it's actually named after the engineer who designed it. But yeah, it's an interesting piece of engineering, and that was a pretty useless piece of information. Anyway, I'm being John completely different.
So there's this thing as useless information. And also, what I believe they're doing is they're widening Spaghetti Junction roads as well. So that engineering that's happening, if you haven't been down to Durban or if you live in Durban, it's just amazing. They're widening the road from Pietermaritzburg all the way down to Durban, but they're widening everything. And those bridges are being widened while there are still cars driving underneath them and over them and around them. And that Spaghetti Junction is just impressive. There are 4 levels of roads. So you actually, the one direction you go, you're going almost underground. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 levels of roads. It's a fascinating piece. And as you say, there's many roadworks happening there. So if one thing goes wrong, then they shut those highways down almost, don't they? All right, some good news.
John, this is not there in Cape Town. At least good news for South Africa. You know, we've developed a vaccine for cholera. My good grief. Eh? So, John, let's have a patent for about 20 years before it becomes a generic. You know, I can see a GDP growing exponentially. You know, lots of things will be solved, John. Poverty, unemployment, inequality, blah, 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 John. Ha ha. It's nice to be South African.
Hi, John speaker. Hi, SFM. Bongo from Newcastle here. Yeah. So other people get special leave. Others are told to step aside. The hypocrisy of our ANC, and we hope that they're going to be fixing our country. Yeah, good luck to them.
Let's squeeze in one more. We can squeeze in one more. We're going to be a little late.
Hi, John. It's busy and busy. John, the national prosecutions. She does not have information, she does not have documents, she does not have evidence, and yet she undertakes the arrest investigation of Kumalo on the basis of an process without any evidence whatsoever. And she comes there still under that with no documents Indra Johnson. It almost sounds like they had checked before this and decided that no, they're going to screw the proceedings anyway, they're retiring soon.
That's the show. Thanks to Finney for pushing the buttons. Keys for Sunny and Temba produced the program. We've got finance after the news with Greg Coast at 6 o'clock.
Thank you again, John. Teachers Union praises smooth progress of the matric exams and the launch of SA's first vaccine in decades. Good evening to you. The National Teachers Union NATU says it's pleased that there have been no reported irregularities or exam paper leaks and has applauded the smooth progress of the matric exams this year. Matric exams kicked off last month with the last paper set to be written on the 27th of this month. NATU's Sibusiso Malenga.
We are grateful to everyone involved in the administration of the 2025 municipal that no irregularities have been repeated so far. The 9 policies. The Union Workers expresses sincere gratitude to candidates who, despite great pressure, have remained honest, resolute, and honorable by avoiding the temptation to engage in any form of irregularity. This shows that we have all taken our respective roles and responsibilities seriously.
The first vaccine to be entirely manufactured in South Africa in more than 50 years has been launched at the Grisani Baragwanath Academic Hospital in Soweto. BioVac and the SA Medical Research Council say the oral cholera vaccine was developed from start to finish locally. The first phase of clinical trials has now started. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi.
Nowhere on the African continent, nowhere, I repeat, do we find a pharmaceutical company that can manufacture vaccines right from the scratch, end to end. This is the first on our African continent. Of course, we are hoping that it won't be the last, but it will be the first. And that's why we are so excited about it.